First thing I want to say is welcome, and second thing is thank you because you all have the hardest jobs around. And a lot of times it's lonely because if you're the principal in the building, you may not have an assistant, and you're the only person at your school that's doing a lot of this. So just thank you so much for everything that you're doing for our schools. A lot of times it's a thankless job, but just so appreciate all the hard work. And I know that this training is not the funnest thing that we all have to do, but we do know it's a requirement. But just thank you for taking the time today to be with us, and uh, appreciate you all being here for this. And I'm always willing for any feedback that you have of how to make this experience better. I know in person is always going to be better, but virtual seems to work sometimes too if we can't be in person. So always give me comments on how to make things better. Thank you, James. Appreciate that. That works well. That's great. Um, so let's go ahead and do a little housekeeping. If you haven't renamed yourself, be sure to go ahead and rename yourself to where your district is there. The only reason I need that is so that there are times, multiple times throughout today, that you're going to be going in your districts to have conversations specific to your district. So just want to make sure that you are in the right district. If I goof up and put you in the wrong one, just pop out and let me know which one to put you in. I will say on your bookmark bar, if you haven't started working on trying to organize some of your things, because we are going to look at a lot of different resources today, making sure that you're doing things to be able to get back to them. Because if you don't have some organization, sometimes it gets a little hard to find. And I was finding I was really struggling. And so I'm going to share this screen with you all. Oops. And so you can see right up here at the top, if you see where my cursor is right here, I have these little folders on my bookmark bar. And when you do that, you can, like, there's certain things as a principal, superintendent, assistant principal that you want to get access to very quickly. Like, you'll even notice I have one called important. That's got like my digital travel that I have to fill out with KVEC. So it's got a lot of my things here regionally that I have to work with KVEC specifically. But how you do this, and I'm just going to show you, and I apologize if you've seen this before. If you have your own system, please share so that I'm always willing to learn and find out a better way to do things. But what you want to do is, so if I wanted to star this PowerPoint, and you will get a copy of this PowerPoint, by the way, so do not worry about having to write everything down. But you go right here and click this star on the web address. And when you click that, it says, okay, bookmark added. So where you want to put it, where you want to file it. Well, I sure don't want to put it in my math folder because I'm talking about evaluation. So I'm going to go to more, and I scroll to my top, and it says bookmark bar. And you see there's my KVEC one with all my little, so yes, I am a folder up on folder woman. So sorry. And so then I've got an evaluation. Okay, good. That works. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Blevins. Appreciate you to let me know. Keep me posted. So what I'm going to do is on my bookmark bar, I'm going to click on that. So now that's highlighted, but I'm going to click this new folder here at the bottom, and I'm going to just put evaluation, wait a minute, if I can spell, resources. And so when I click that and I click save now, you see a new folder on my screen that says evaluation resources, and right there's my PowerPoint. So through the day, if there's something you really, really like, and that might not be the name that you want to call it, you may have a different name. It might just be evaluation, but work on trying to get things organized. It doesn't have to be on the bookmark bar. Just make it a bookmark so that when you click on your bookmark, you'll notice that I have different folders based upon different things. So if you go to my KVEC one, oh goodness, there's all kinds of folders that I drop things in. That's just a way to try to help keep you organized so that you can find things. It's not a help to you if you're having to spend 5 to 10 minutes searching for things that you are having trouble getting a hold of. We got to make sure that we do the best we can. Great. Thank you, Will. So glad. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hopefully we got Bobby taken care of too. This is, but just want to always do that about our organization, because as administrators, you all deal with a ton of stuff. And the more things you can do to kind of make your life a little bit easier and easier to find things, that is always a win for you. So that's housekeeping. Next, just make sure you got your cup of coffee. I got mine. If you don't like coffee, tea, soda, whatever you prefer, but have a little caffeine with you, because that is definitely something that I need, because I like to have me a little bit of coffee to keep me going in the day. Awesome. Okay. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're just going to take a little survey of see who is in the room today. And what I mean by that, I'm just going to ask how many years experience you have, and that's total in education. And I also want to know what you were as a teacher. So that's why you have the little thing there on teacher. So I'm going to drop in the link. Great. Thank you, Mr. Blevins. Appreciate you letting me know that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, so hopefully everybody's good and they can hear. So in the chat, you now have a little link. And so if you will click on that and fill in all it is, this is like one of those little practice things, because we're going to be doing different things that I'm going to ask you to be trying to do. So we're going to test some of those skills today, your tech skills, since we're doing virtual. So if you'll go in and get that real quick for me. And then I'll pull it over here so that we can see who we have in the room. Wow, you all are fast. My goodness. Y'all speed. Let me pull this over here. So right now we're seeing that we've got about 30 that's answered. And we've got, wow, you all are quick. You all are going to be my stars today. I got that feeling. A couple more of you need to get in there and fill it out. Oh, you're getting there. Not a race, just getting it done. So what we're seeing is in the room, still got a couple more. I'm going to wait before we look at all the results here. I love that you can do these Google Forms and it's like real time. It keeps updating for you. And so these are just a great little tool to encourage your teachers to use in class too. It does a nice little quick survey of the room. We have a couple more, making sure that you get in there to be able to access the forms. So we're up to 33. Awesome. So in the room, well, looks like we have a bigger majority of being 26 plus years. There's 12 of us in the room right now that have 26 plus. So we're on that end of where we see retirement in the future or can retire at any time. Awesome. Oh, we're up to 38%. Awesome. So 13 of us in the room. Awesome. And then we have 26.5%. 9 of you have 21 to 25 years. That's impressive. That's quite a few years in education. Then we have 16 to 20 year. We have 9 people. That's interesting. Got a tie there between the two. And then we have 3 in the room that is 6 to 10 years experience. So that is awesome. I love young people. You all give me such good hope and energy for the future. So that is awesome. So we've got a wide range of experience in the room. Now, here we're going to take a look at as what is our backgrounds. When we taught, what did we teach? So the majority, 12 of us were able to click elementary. So you were the masters of everything. You had to do it all. And so now you're in administration and helping with evaluations. That's great. The next is a tie, it looks like it, between social studies and ELA, but look at what we have in the room. We have special education, we have speech language pathology, LBD, learning behavior disorders, the special education, K-12. So we have several with some special ed. That is invaluable knowledge there that is wonderful to have in the room. And then we've got health and PE and music. So we cannot as an individual know everything about what's going on instructionally with all the different content areas. So that's why it's nice to know that we have some people in the room that we can rely on to get some help and reach out to others. That is a wonderful thing to be able to do. Awesome job, you all. And look at you all getting in there and getting that filled out. I am so proud of you. Well done. Good job. So got a lot of great experience in the room. Now, the next thing that we are going to be looking at is our agenda for the day, just so that you kind of have an idea first, so why are we here? That's the first thing we'll be talking about here. We're going to talk about student impact, timelines, because to me, a big part of this, yes, we need to calibrate. We need to know that we are all on the same page. When we're evaluating, do we have biases that sneak in? Because I know I do, and I can tell you what mine are really quick. But are we recognizing that? Are we seeing those? So yes, we're going to do that calibration. During lunch, it's going to be a lunch. You're going to go out, but I'm going to ask you to do some work during that, listening to some podcasts that might be helpful, hopefully. But when that way we can count that hour. It's kind of a working lunch. And then we're going to talk about resources. We're going to talk about conferencing, coaching, and EBIPs, those evidence-based instructional practices, making sure you're aware of those and can access those and familiar with those things. So that's our agenda, our success criteria. You can read there. We're going to connect how a highly effective teacher impacts student learning. We're going to review the regulation because that's where we want to make sure that we have everything lined out. And we want to that's why you need to have your certified evaluation plan, because that's what dictates your evaluations. So you've got to make sure you have your copy, and hopefully you either have a digital or a hard copy. Either one's fine, but we need to have that so we can let you be looking at your timelines, your frequency of observation, summative, and your appeals process, because that nobody likes to talk about that, and it's always good to have that in mind. And hopefully nothing ever happens to where you have to have that process, be using that process, but you need to be familiar with that. Calibrate to refresh for this school year's observations. We're going to review some of your P-cell example updates. We're going to talk about resources with KDE and KVEC to help support you, and just being aware of some of those resources from KDE on the EBIPs too, for content areas. Now, I love this video, and so want to do a check and just make sure so you can hear me. So hopefully when I play the video, you'll be able to hear it. But this is just a little video of a comedian, Michael Jr. And so I'm going to let this play, and it's about, do you know your why? So kind of us having that conversation today of, do you know the why why we're here today? So I want you to kind of be thinking about that. So let me know if you don't care, type in the chat, and let me know if you can hear this.
How do I know? A lot of people, when they think of the phrase, how do I know, they always want to put the what behind it. How do I know what I'm supposed to do? The question that you really should ask is, how do I know why I'm here? Because when you know your why, your what becomes more clear and more impactful. If you know, like for instance, people know that I do comedy, but that's what I do. My why is to inspire people to walk in purpose. So I can do comedy, I can write books, I can be in a movie, because all of it is motivated by my why. In fact, I have a new web series out called Michael Jr. Break Time. We probably just did the 6th episode. It's on YouTube. So every single Wednesday at 3 o'clock, we drop a new episode on YouTube of Michael Jr. Break Time. What it is it's me. I travel around the country and I do stand-up comedy, in case you didn't know. And in the middle of my comedy set sometime, I'll stop and just talk to my audience. And we've been filming this, and it's, you know, it's pretty cool. So we're in Winston-Salem. I'm gonna show you a clip from Winston-Salem. And I'm just talking to this guy in the audience, and he tells me that he's a musical instructor at a school. So I was like, all right, you're a musical instructor, you know, can you sing? Let me hear you sing a song. So this is what happened at the last episode of Michael Jr.'s Break Time. Check it. So you're a musical director. Cool.
Yes, sir.
All right, so let me get a couple bars of like Amazing Grace. Can you do the first part of that? Go ahead.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me.
Wow. That bro could sing, you know what I'm saying? All right. Now, what you give me the version is if your uncle just got out of jail, you got shot in the back when you was a kid. I'm just saying, let me see the hood version real quick, if you know which version I'm talking about. Just see if that exists. Let me see what you got.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now, right now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see.
Okay, here's what I want you to catch. The first time I asked him to sing, he knew what he was doing. The second time, he knew why he was doing it. When you know your why, your what becomes more impactful because you're walking towards or in your purpose.
All righty, so let me get my PowerPoint back up here for you all. Let me get that back up here. Can everybody see my screen? Can everybody see are we good? Okay. All right. Good. Thank you all for letting me know, because sometimes techie glitchy things happen for us at times. But kind of noticing, okay, thank you. If you do lose sound at any time, because where I'm switching back and forth, it can cause glitchy things, do not hesitate just to log off and log back on. Great. Thank you. Just want to make sure that you can hear and see what we're talking about. But notice, was there a difference in the singing? You know, when you're looking at this, you know, there was a distinct difference of when he gave him a why with it. And so what the tie-in is here for us is, you know, what are we doing here today? So the what behind what we are doing here today is it's the law, it's statute. We've got to be here. We have to have this 6-hour update every year, so that we are able to evaluate yearly, right? So that's our what that we're doing today. But now when we take a look at the why are we doing this today? If you look at what teacher quality has a larger impact on student learning than any other factor, And so when you look at the statistics on a highly effective teacher, that's what our evaluation should be about, isn't it? It's to help our teachers to be more impactful with their students, to help them to be highly effective teachers. And that's a big load for you all. That's a big burden to carry. So if we think about our why as looking at if a student is placed with a highly effective teacher for 3 years in a row, they significantly outperform average students. A student who has an outstanding teacher for just 1 year will remain ahead of their peers for the next few. But unfortunately, like it says, the opposite is just as true. And we all know we've got some of those people. Every building has those. But if that student has even one ineffective teacher, they may not catch up to their peers for up to 3 years. And having one excellent teacher isn't going to fully compensate for that one ineffective one. So worse yet, if they have 3 ineffective teachers in a row, rarely will they ever catch up. And I know that all of you are having such issues of being able to get staffing. We're having to go through some different options with our option 6, option 9, of trying to get people certified because of such a shortage. But making sure that we're utilizing this tool, this thing we have to do, we've got to do this, but making sure we're going to use it to help with and give us more of a purpose of why we're here today. And so I just kind of like to start off with that, because this can have a huge impact on your school year of how you're approaching your evaluations and helping your teachers be more effective teachers. So just a real quick, like that video link is on the PowerPoint if you like that. And also we'll give you the website later of where some of the videos from today came from, because there's a lot of good videos out there to share with your admin teams or with your teachers to help motivate. So the first thing that we are going to do is we're going to review and get organized. So before I drop in the chat, I'm going to show you what you're going to get here. Just checking the chat here. So I'm going to pull up the form, and I'm going to give you a checklist that's going to have some questions that I want you to answer. And it's just a little review for you to remind you of some things, particulars for the year. I'm going to give you the link here in just a second. I'm going to give you 4 minutes to answer the questions on page 1 and to look at the checklist. And that's just for you to do your own thinking. And then after that 4 minutes, I'm going to put you in a breakout room for 10 minutes, because there's some questions that you're going to need to be looking at your certified evaluation plan. So have that pulled up on the side. Now, there's some questions we can all answer together, but there's some things we cannot answer as a whole group. That's why you need your breakout room. So here in just a minute. So the first thing I'm going to show you is, let's see here. I'm going to show you what it's going to do. When I put this in the chat, I'm also going to be putting the statutes in there as well, because some of this is straight from regulation. When you click the link, it's going to ask you to make a copy. This is a very easy thing that if you don't want people to mess with the original, but you want them to have a copy, all you have to do is change it to say copy on the address instead of edit. So I'm going to make a copy, and I'm just going to show you really quick. So eventually it'll get there. I want you to go ahead and you can be working on this. And then when you go to your breakout room, you all can have one person do the recording if you want, or you all just work on it together. But I want you to put your district name, because these answers, some of these are in regulation, but some of these are going to be specific to your district. So like, for example, appeals panel. Who is your district person? That's a you question. That is something that in your district, maybe you know who it is, maybe you don't. Maybe that's a conversation you have when you get in your breakout room with your district of who is the appeals person. Who are the 2 members that were elected this year for the appeals panel? of your certified employees in your district. So and maybe you don't know these, but if you don't know them, that may raise some questions of, have they been designated? And if not, like the appeals panel, the district point person is appointed by your local board of education. That should be in your board minutes somewhere. And someone should have knowledge of who that person is, and then who your two people are. Then the totally different separate group of your evaluation committee. That's what some people call 50-50. Who is that in your district? Do you know who those people are? And then some of these other questions are in statute that we'll answer together. But as you scroll down, you're going to see a checklist. Now, a lot of you may have this in your certified evaluation plan. Use those. A lot of those look a whole lot better than mine. But if you don't have a checklist, or you want to make your own, and you can just go in and edit and make that as pretty and nice as you like it. But I have one for certified evaluation checklist. And this one is for your new tenured teachers, because those timelines are different typically for them versus your tenured teachers. And then I have another one that is for your principals and district staff, because a lot of times that timeline. So think of all the things you have to keep up with. You're having to keep up with your tenured and non-tenured teachers. And then you got to keep up with your assistant principal and your counselors who have that other framework, those other professionals. So you got a lot of things you are juggling. So this is just you kind of taking some time to answer these questions, making sure you know the answers to these and some of your timelines, and reviewing those, because that is something you want to make sure you're always meeting the timeline. That's going to be one of the first questions that will always be brought up in an appeals process is, are the timelines being met? So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to put in the chat your checklist and your regulations. And I'm not seeing anything else. It looks like everybody's doing okay. So hopefully. So you're going to have 3 links. You're going to see the first link is your checklist. I'm going to give you 4 minutes. I'm going to set a timer. And this is all about, I want you to work on it on your own. This is your think time. You going through and being familiar with some of the answers. And then when the timer goes off, that's when I'm going to do the breakout rooms and let you go in your breakout rooms. And that's when you all work as a group and talk through what the answers are for you all. So let me go to my little timer. It says need access. Okay, thank you for that. Let's see. Now, did it work? Refresh and try again. Try again. See if it works now. It worked now? Good. Okay. Sometimes you just got to click the right button. I tell you, that happens to me sometimes. Sorry about that. So now go back to the chat, try clicking on it again, or just refresh where you are and it should let you make a copy of it. It's one of those things that if you don't click everything just right, sorry about that. So I'm going to set my timer for 4 minutes. You all are so good, Betty. You all put that in the chat and got me on track. Thank you so much. So I'm going to let you have 4 minutes. You go through and be answering those questions on your own. Don't worry, you're going to have time to talk with your partners in your district to go over some of these answers. So I've got the timer set. I'm going to give you 4 minutes. Timer just went off for 4 minutes. I'm going to set it. Okay, I will add the link again. Oops. That is not the link I wanted to add. Let's try this. Oh. See, I'm going to add the link again for you. So that has your regulations. So you want to make sure you have those clicked and opened in another window, because you can't get to that when you get in your breakout rooms. Now, a couple of you are the only person from your district. You may have people in the room with you, so you can let me know. If you don't have anybody, you are welcome to just stay in the main room with me and talk to me for the 10-minute span of time instead of going to a room to yourself. But you are fine to go to the room to yourself if you want to. So that is an option for those of you that do not have more than one person here in your district. Like I said, you may have somebody sitting in the room with you. I know that was something some of you said. Now, if I goof up the breakout rooms, you just let me know and we will fix it. If you're not in the right room with the people in your district, just let me know. But it should, when I open the rooms, when you click to join, it should pull you into the one that I assigned you to. So let's give it a try. I'll leave you in there for 10 minutes. And if, when we come back, hopefully that'll be enough time. If we need to go back to the breakout rooms, we can do that too. So 10 minutes in the breakout room starting. I'm going to open the rooms, and when I see everybody's in there, that's when I'll start the 10 minutes, and I will give you a 1-minute warning that it's going to close. So have fun talking in your districts, looking at your checklist and answering those questions.
Hey, Mary, can you put me with my Floyd County peeps? I was
sure
I was with Menifee.
Oh,
I said hi
how
to
on
them,
earth? Oh my goodness. What on earth did I do? Oh my goodness. Let's see. I put you, well, I sure did. I do not know. Let's move you to the right place.
Okay, thanks.
I'm so sorry. All right, that should do it. Welcome back. Awesome. All right, looks like we still might have a couple. Checking my numbers. I think everyone is back. Can everyone still hear? Because sometimes when you go in and out of the breakout room, sometimes it will mess with your sound, so we can still hear. Okay. Good, good, good. Awesome. So breakout, well, maybe one boo-boo there on my placement. So sorry about that, Miss Shepherd. Oh, so real quick, we're going to go through and we're going to look at some of the answers. And so if you feel comfortable with unmuting, go right ahead on some of these, but I'm going to answer, I want us to answer some that are common to everybody. The appeals panel, like I said, that is your district. That is nothing. I mean, everybody is going to have somebody different as their district person. Same thing as your appeals panel, your 2 members who were elected to, by your certified employees of your district, making sure you're aware of who they are. And if by some chance those people have not been selected, it would be good to go ahead and get that done, making sure that those people are in place before something happens, because you never want an election like that to have to happen and you find out that, oops, we don't have an appeals panel already selected. You don't want there to be an issue and then having to select. So making sure these people are already in place. Your evaluation committee, that 50-50, once again, those answers are unique to your district. Some of you are most likely on that evaluation committee. This is a question we can all answer, though, and you can drop it in the chat or feel free to unmute. Who is the only certified employee whose summative evaluation is discussed and adopted in an open board meeting? So who would that be? Yeah, that's who it is. That's the superintendent. And I put that in there as a question because I think that's good for everybody to be aware of. That is the one evaluation in the district that is open and actually even put in an open meeting. So making sure that you're aware of that, and also kind of helps us to maybe be a little more understanding, because that's a different thing to have your evaluation discussed and presented in an open meeting. Now the next question should also have, everybody should have the same answer because this is in statute. The district certified evaluation plan shall require a conference between the evaluator and the evaluatee within blank working days of the within blank following each observation. Correct. So drop it in the chat there. Some of you putting it in the chat. Some of you putting your hand up. Thank you. I see you got your hand up. It is 5 days. Now that is one of those timeline things. And I know sometimes you are very pushed about getting those, but making sure that you're trying to get that done in that 5-day period, because that will be some of the questions that will be asked if an appeals ever is brought up. If you take a look at statute, may peer observations be used as a source of evidence? May it be used as a source of evidence? And I have the statute there. One of the 4 measures of evaluation. So if I'm a teacher and I want a peer to observe me, can I request a peer evaluation to be used?
Yes.
Yes, that is correct. And that is in statute. We don't have to. It's not a requirement anymore, is it?
Because so peer evaluations are not requirement. Is that right, Ms. Belcher?
That is correct. They are not a requirement, but may it be used? It can be at the teacher request. Nicely stated there. If a teacher requests it, they can, but it is not required any longer. Now, if those of us that have been around for a few years, we didn't have to have it, but by statute, it's not required. But this is what I will couch that answer with on, is it required? Does your certified evaluation plan require it?
No.
That's why you have, okay, so if it doesn't require it, statute doesn't require it, it is not required. It will only be used if a teacher requests it. And sometimes that may happen, but hopefully not. But no, not required. Nope.
So ma'am, if it's not written in the CEP at all, and a teacher requested, are you still obligated by law to offer that?
Yes, they still do. But here's the catch to it too. The person that they get to do the peer review needs to go through some evaluation training too. And that's in the statute. It's not just, anybody. They have to go through, because you all went through a whole lot of training to be able to evaluate, right? So there does need to be some training involved from the district level if they request it. But you don't even worry about this. The question is, may it be used? Yes, it may, but only if it's requested.
Right, thank you.
You're welcome. That's a very good question. And that's why I put it in there, because there is some confusion on that, because it has changed over the years. But number 1 rule is always look at your certified evaluation plan. And then, of course, we have to follow what's in statute. All right. The next question is the district certified evaluation plan shall require a summative evaluation at least once every blank years for a teacher, other professional, principal, or assistant principal who has attained continuing service status. Most of us call it tenure. Once every how many years do they have to have that summative done? You can type it in the chat or you can unmute, whichever one you prefer. So how often do you have to do a summative for your tenured people? Correct. 3 years. That is in statute. And now, I did not ask a question about how many observations, because that can be different. Some districts, I mean, it used to be in statute how many, but when the statute changed, some districts changed on that. I did have when I moved into my position at the district level, there was some confusion, and they were doing multiple observations that were not having to be done. So make sure that you're following your CEP of exactly what it is saying has to be done. But that summative is just once every 3 years. What about the evaluation criteria and process used to evaluate certified school personnel? Shall be explained to and discussed with the evaluatee no later than the end of the evaluatee's first blank calendar days of reporting for employment each school year. That is it. How many days? So that is probably a part of your opening day things, that you have that review of your evaluation. Now, that is not what we're doing today. What we're doing today, this annual update, it can happen. It could happen in December. It could happen in January. What we're doing today doesn't have to happen in the first 30 days. This is the annual update. But everybody, every certified, all employees should have that process of how they're going to be evaluated explained to them within their first 30 days of employment each school year. So you have to do it each year. And I know it's one of those things that everybody's sitting there and they feel like they know it. It's when the trouble happens that you realize how important it is. How often now this one I left, and we're not going to answer this one out loud, is a group, because that's unique to your district and your certified evaluation plan of how many observations are you going to be doing for your tenured and non-tenured. And then also just making sure you know your dates. A lot of you I know are going to have your PGPs, those professional growth plans, due soon, and even your own professional growth plans due soon to your evaluators. So just making sure that you're aware of all those timelines and that you've got those out there for people to be able to look at. So just kind of making sure we review the timelines, because timelines is sometimes where, when we're talking about an appeal, that's going to be some of the things they will ask first on that. Oh, so thank you very much. You all have done a wonderful job. So I'm looking, we're going to do one more thing, and then we're going to take a break after this next activity that we're going to do. Can everyone still see my screen? Let me take a look. Are we still good?
Yes.
Thank you. The next thing we're going to do is I have an evaluation tracker. And most of you are going to have something like this already and probably look a whole lot better than mine. I know I gave this to one district, and they actually took it and they made it beautiful. Oh my goodness, how they changed it and updated theirs, because what's might be a little bit different about the one that I'm going to share with you is, let me get back to it here. I'm going to pull it up. It's going to, once again, when you click on it, and hopefully this one will not cause a problem because we found the other issue. This is what you should see when you click on it. I've not put it in the chat yet. But what is a little bit different, and I know some of you have where it tells you automatically, you have someone in your district that's doing this for you, which is great if you do. But like right here, you'll notice the principal. We know the principal is going to be evaluated by superintendent or their designee. And then everybody at the school is going to be evaluated by the principal or someone else that the principal has designated. I would recommend that you group these when the summatives are due so that you can even highlight the people that you have to give the summative for that current year. So here you can see that it has summative and then when their summative is due. And so someone who is not on a continuing contract is going to need one each year until they get that hired back for that 5th year. So what we're going to do is I'm going to let you have a couple of minutes of just getting your list of your people that you are to evaluate. And if you have an assistant principal, wonderful for you. That is a great blessing because that way you all divided, and you may have already done this, but having conversations around this. And then I'm going to have you go into your breakout rooms in case there's any district discussion that you all need to have. Maybe there's particulars you need to be looking at when you're doing your evaluations this year. Maybe there's certain things you're watching for. And so just wanted to give you some time. So the first 2 minutes we're going to just do here in this room. And then after 2 minutes, as you're getting organized and getting everything together, you're going to go into your breakout rooms. And once again, those of you that are here to yourself, you are welcome to stay with me. But some of us like to go and work to ourselves and get ourselves organized. But I am going to ask you this. Don't forget your classified people. When I moved to the district position, I found someone who had been working, I think they had worked for 8 years as a classified staff member, and they had never had an evaluation. Now you may say, well, good for them. They got to, they didn't have to be evaluated, you would think. But the problem is when someone contacts you, maybe there's litigation, or maybe they're looking at their character and they say, you get contacted by an attorney because of a pending lawsuit and they have a request for documents of an evaluation. Those evaluations are then very important to that person, whether it be certified or classified. So making sure that we are documenting all our evaluations for certified and classified people. Just make sure that, are your cooks getting observed? Are your custodians getting observed? And are those going on file like they're supposed to in their records? Because it can matter for them at a later date. So just want to make sure that we do think about those. So right now I'm going to put in the chat the evaluation tracker for you. So I'm going to let you try clicking on it. And you don't have to use this one if you already have your own digital copy, just have yours up, because I'm sure it's a lot better than what I've got. But just making sure that you've got it organized, easy for you to follow. Some people like to use color coding. I've seen some awesome evaluation trackers out there. So just making sure that you have those available. And I'm going to give you 2 minutes to get yourself organized. And then at the end of 2 minutes, we're going to go in breakout rooms and let you have some discussions. Maybe you all need to discuss things as a district, or you might need to just have some conversations around who might be coming up for tenure. That is a real conversation you need to have in your rooms as well, because someone who is up for tenure, you need to be taking a look at things. So you're just getting yourself set up and organized to be able to get in your breakout room. Now I'm going to let you all go into your breakout rooms. Now, notice I did say someone who is non-tenured. So if they're getting ready, this is their last year before they get tenure, having those conversations, looking at those individuals, those are things you do need to talk about. And so just making sure that you're looking, have you got everybody divided up? Is everyone accounted for and going to be observed? I know I threw something at you with the classified, what instrument, what do you have in place that lets you know everyone is getting observed that falls under your requirements to observe? Same thing at district level. I know we got a couple of superintendents in the room. Is everything lined out for all your district people in their observations? So just kind of having those conversations. And so when you get in your breakout room, if you have your superintendent with you, of course, I want them to lead the conversation and kind of go from there. And from that, you can go with who has the most experience in the room. Can be the one to kind of lead, unless you have someone else that is willing to volunteer. So I'm going to go ahead and open the breakout rooms, let you all get in there and talk. And now this is for you all to discuss. This is not for me to, now if you have questions, yes, you are free to send me some questions, but this is a district conversation that is unique to you all. So I'm going to open the rooms, 10 minutes in the rooms. I'll give you a 1-minute warning. Welcome, welcome back. It looks like everybody's made it back. Awesome. Well, I hope you had great discussion in your district. Like I said, that was conversation for you all. That unless you have questions that that is something that is particular to your district, and those are things that you need to get lined out. So as far as us having conversation around that, only if you have questions. But I would like for you all to have a little break now, because you have been sitting for a little while now. I know some of you are in buildings, so be careful when you go out, because we all know that, that one person catching you in the hallway that may last longer than a minute. But I will say, let's be back at 10 minutes would be 10:32. So let's do 10:35. Be back at 10:35. And you can just take your camera off, get up, stretch your legs, because you do need to move around. You don't need to be sitting at a computer all this time, but get up, stretch, move, and I'll see you back at 10:35. Did you get my email, Mr. Sizemore?
I did. Thank you very much. And I will share that with her later today.
Okay.
Actually, when we were in our breakout room, I shared that with Ms. Rowart. So we appreciate that. I think it's going to work out well.
Great. But I didn't text you because it was so late. I didn't want to send a text that late. So I thought, well, I'll email. He'll be okay with an email.
You know us. We're up all the time.
I know you are.
I think we were in Wolf County at a soccer game last night. We didn't get home to about 10 o'clock.
Bless your heart.
Hey, that's part of it. No, but no, we appreciate you. And I'll share it with our teacher. And then we'll make sure that she's got dedicated time when you come over to work with you. We would appreciate that. Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. You take a little break now.
All right, we're going to do it. All right, thanks.
Welcome back. So glad that you all are back with me. I know, hopefully you did make it back, because I know if you stepped out of your office or are out and about in the building, you may be, well, I know you get caught. So understand completely. I did have a couple of great questions in the chat that I do want to talk about. One question was around how often do your districts need to update their certified evaluation plan? any major changes for your certified evaluation plan is going to come through KDE, and they will provide you with guidance whenever there's any big legislative changes. And so they will let you know that you need to do like some major overhauling and get that board approved and get that sent to KDE, because then it has to go through the KDE approval as well. If you're just doing little tweaks like yearly, they do recommend that you do like an annual review. And a lot of times there's not really any changes to make to your certified evaluation plan, but just showing that it's, you know, being reviewed. You don't have to send that to KDE. And there's that front page that you usually will update to do yearly to show that it has been reviewed by your 50/50 committee and that the board has been aware of it. So that is a very good question. But we haven't had to do those major changes to anything since, well, COVID. We had to do some pretty major changes because of having to make adjustments where, you know, we were no longer in person for a while. But those will be things, and I will definitely have that. If KDE puts anything out, I will put that on the Padlet and make sure that you all are made aware of that. I also had another great question, and I will share it with everyone. There was a question about, you know, a lot of times we have this annual certified evaluation training, but our classified evaluation isn't really talked about a lot. And so there was a request for maybe a form for classified. That is a phenomenal request, and I will look and see what I can find, because it's very easy to maybe overlook your instructional assistants or your aides and your cooks and your custodians and any maybe people in your building that are tech specific that may be classified. Are we getting all of those people evaluated? And sometimes, you know, that's the principal who's evaluating those. Sometimes that's a district staff. That's something that you all determine, but making sure we're not missing anyone, because they too need those evaluations. Because like I said, sometimes litigation comes in, maybe they need that good evaluation to show their good character for something that might, or even for a loan with a bank. Sometimes they want evidence of good character to help them to get a loan. So just kind of keeping those in mind. So when I get that, I will make that and share that with all of you that's in the training today. So just want to let you know that will be something you'll be seeing. It'll just be a template of a classified evaluation listing and maybe some of the possible positions you might want to think about that might be classified in your district. But I will get that to you. So now, part of what I always try to do with trainings is I try to model what we would want our teachers to do. And so the next thing that we are going to do is we are going to calibrate, and we are actually going to do a true formative assessment today. So I'm going to drop in the chat for you a little quiz, and it's anonymous. You don't have to worry. Nobody's name's going to be with it, but we're going to take a look at evidence or opinion, because those are a little tricky sometimes. Most of the time, I have a feeling y'all are going to be pros. I'm not going to have any issue with this. But making sure that we're collecting evidence and we're not interjecting our opinion, sometimes our bias even with that. So what we want to do is, with a formative assessment, I was instructional supervisor in district, and I had one teacher one time. She said, well, I'm going to go give my formative assessment. And I was like, well, great. What are you going to do with it? And she said, nothing. I'm not going to do anything with it. And I was like, well, why are you giving it? I said, what's the purpose of it? Because if it's not going to impact instruction, if it's not going to change anything, why do you even give it? And so, well, just because we're supposed to give formative assessments. Well, well, that was just a whole nother story. Let's just say that. But we are going to do a formative assessment. And if you all, as a collective group, because I know we have a little more than 40 some people on this, I think we've got about 40 on almost, because I think some of you are in a room together. But we're going to calibrate, and there's 5 questions, and I just want you to answer these individually. And to go through and pick, is it evidence or is it an opinion? And now read carefully, because a couple of them are a little bit tricky. But I'm going to give you just a couple minutes, and we're going to look at the results, and we're going to go and talk through them. But if you all score 80% or higher, we are not going to go through these sections of these slides. So that's how it's going to impact my instruction. Depending on your performance on this summit, on this formative, will determine where we go. So go ahead and click on the link in the chat, 5 questions, and you go ahead, and then when you click submit, you will see your score and see how you did. But 80% would allow you to miss 1 question on it. So there's 5 questions. So we will give you just a second. You go through and answer those questions for me. Boy, you all speedy people. I tell you, you are quick. Read carefully. Right now, if you just want to know, average is 97%. No pressure. You're all doing really good. Good job. I'll share the results with you here. And like I said, nobody's going to see who got what. And that's always a nice thing to do with students, because especially when you get in middle school and high school, they get so worried about, doing things incorrectly. And the more we can model that for kids, of it's okay if we don't get things right, we learn from them. Oh, we got 24 of you done, 25. No worries. I'm a patient person. I'll wait. We're getting there. Getting there. 32 have completed. Awesome. Awesome. 33. Couple more of you need to get in there and respond. We're getting there. All righty. Finishing up. All righty. Okay. So our average is 89%. So awesome job. So we have an 89% average. What we're going to do is we're going to look at each question. So what does that tell me as the instructor here? We're just going to take a look at the answers because with an 89%, you all are obviously very proficient at this. We don't need to go through a lot, but I do want to go through the answers with you all so that we can kind of take a look at them. So the very first question is very tricky, which was not nice of me, and I do apologize, but some students have difficulty staying engaged. And so when we read that, is that making an evaluation? Is that somewhat of an opinion? Kind of keep in mind when we're talking about evidence, it should be something we directly see, that we know exactly what's happened. When they say difficulty staying engaged, I don't know what they're talking about. So this is an opinion, because what are the kids doing? Are they walking around the room? Are they looking up at the ceiling? How they're talking and not paying attention in class. They're talking to each other and not listening when the teacher's talking. You need to write and script what is happening in the room. And so that one is very, very tricky, because I know all of us as educators, we know, but we don't know exactly what's happening in that classroom for that. So the correct answer is that one is an opinion, because we don't know what they're doing that's giving that impression they're not they're having difficulty being engaged. Number 2, the teacher asked 5 yes/no questions in the first 5 minutes. And so the correct answer there, every single one of you got that one right. So evidence is correct. So we know exactly what happened in that room. This one is another one that's a little tricky. The teacher clearly has planned and organized for maximum effect. This is a little more tricky because we kind of probably have a good idea of what we think is going on there, but what have they done? Is it the seat arrangement? Is that what they have organized? We don't know what's been organized, do we? And so it needs to be descriptive of what they're seeing. Rows were or students were placed in groups of 3 in the room in order to be able to work in groups during that time. So just making sure we're writing down what we're seeing. So that one, I understand why a lot of people marked evidence, but we don't know what the organization is by that statement. So it is an opinion. Number 4 is the activity progressed. Students started calling out, what should we do next? That one is evidence because that is exactly what was said. That is what was going on in the class. It's what we saw, what we heard, those types of things. And then the last one, the new table arrangement encourages concentration and controlled interaction with neighbors. And we might argue some on this one, but what is the table arrangement? We don't know, and encourages concentration and controlled interaction. So that, I'm guessing they're saying there's not any talking, right? So that's why some may have put it was evidence, but this is encourages. That's showing in the judgment. So just saying the table arrangement of rows allowed students to not be able to engage in conversation as easily. Something like that would be more evidence based, whereas this one is showing a hint of your opinion going on in there, but it's very, very tricky. So even though they were tricky questions, you all were awesome. So wonderful, wonderful job. So good job. So we're not going to, so what did I say? As instructor, you all met the goal. Now, you're going to get the PowerPoint slide. Maybe you didn't, maybe you got a couple more wrong than you wanted to. The following slides, we checked our results. There's more information that kind of goes through, talks about, the differences between the two, but I'm not going to do that with you all because you all scored so well. So we're skipping some slides. Well done. Now we're going to move to actual observations. And it's always good to do this. And I know this one is required that we're doing this annual update. And I know, when you do your initial, which all of us have done that assessment, and so we've done the initial training, we're just doing the update training. But I think it's always valuable to, in your update training, to calibrate. Are we marking objectively? Are we making sure we're not letting any bias come in? Because when I watch these videos that we're getting ready to watch, I have some bias and I find it real quick. Let me just be honest. And that's also part of this is, are there certain things that we may not score as high because it might be something that we may not particularly like? So kind of keeping those things in mind as we go through and do some of this. Watch for our own biases on this. So what we're going to do is we're going to focus on 3B. And I'm going to drop that in the chat for you, which is your questioning and discussion techniques. This is usually the one we always go with because of this is one of those big things to help with engagement, getting kids involved in the class. So right now I'm going to drop in the chat so you can pull this up on one of your tabs. And I'm going to give you 2 minutes to read and review this component. Because a lot of you are just now starting school. You've not really got into the observations yet. So I want you to click on that. And I want to set the timer for 2 minutes for you to just kind of go back and refamiliarize yourself with this particular component. So I'm going to give you just a couple of minutes to read. All right, that was our little 2-minute review. Read. I have a question. Can anybody tell me why is, when we look at this right here, and I've got my cursor going around accomplished, why is that bolded? Why is it bolded for accomplish? Anybody have any? You can unmute or you can type it in the chat. Why is accomplish bolded? Because I always like to bring this.
My old superintendent used to tell us to live in accomplish and sometimes visit exemplary. So maybe that's why.
That's exactly why, Josh. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's the goal. That is correct. Accomplished is the goal. Now, what is so sad, we have all these phenomenal teachers in our schools and in our districts, and they all think they're supposed to be an exemplary. They don't realize that accomplished is the goal. That is where we want everyone to be. And it's like you said, Josh, that was great. Your superintendent did wonderful. That's where you visit. You know, we are going to have times where we are in that exemplary column, but accomplished is where you want to be. That is the goal. So making sure we're communicating that with our teachers. I know there's a survey out right now with KDE. They're wanting to know how many you had that were identified as ineffective. But, you know, when we're talking about this, you know, not everybody is going to be exemplary. What we want everybody to be is accomplished. That's where we want them to be, the goal. So just wanting to make sure to bring that out. And that, you know, accomplished is phenomenal. That is where that is that is where you want to be. So just want to make sure that we remember that accomplished is where we want to be. Now, I'm also going to drop in the chat for you now. I'm going to give you a couple minutes to read this one. But we're going to look at the 3B elements. Now, the elements are over here on the left-hand side. That's the going in a little bit more detail of the quality of discussion, discussion techniques, and student participation. A lot of times we don't look at those as much because they're embedded into our rubrics that we have here. And you don't have time to go through and read all of these, but for today, that we're going to go through and let you read those. So I'm going to let you pull that up. And I'm going to just give you about a minute to read that one because it's a shorter read. It's not as much. Okay, so there's the elements, just to kind of review those that all tie to component 3B for the question and discussion techniques. So now the next thing I'm going to put in, I'm going to drop in the chat an evidence collection. I don't know that you have access to a printer, but just taking a clean sheet of paper, you can jot down your observations. Now remember, I know this is not what you actually have to do whenever you go in and observe, but this is why we're honing in on one particular thing to calibrate how we do with one particular component. So that's why we're being very intentional looking at only one. And, you know, trying to recognize, do we have a bias anywhere? So when you click on that evidence collector, you can make your own little note-taking sheet like what you would do if you were going into a classroom and taking notes as we get ready to watch a video. Because what we're going to watch, there's the things we just read. And there's the evidence collection sheet. So questions teacher asked, evidence of discussion, questions students ask, and evidence of students' participation. That's just very specific to this one component. So what we're going to do is we're going to watch this video. If you are not, if you've not been going to Achieve the Core, you're going to want to check out that website. It has a wealth of videos, lessons that your teachers can go to and utilize. Now, it was developed for the Common Core, and we all know that we did make some adjustments to our reading, writing standards and our math standards. And we can, I like when I've heard people say we Kentuckyfy them somewhat, but there's still a lot of connections and there's still a lot of value to this Achieve the Course website. So if you haven't looked at this, that is something I'm going to provide you time to be able to go take a look at those. But we're going to take a look at a social studies lesson in 7th grade. And so what makes Nevada unique from other states? What factors have caused Nevada to become a state built on sin? Should Nevada continue to base its revenue on sin? So if I'm thinking of Kentucky, I wouldn't teach this lesson in Kentucky because it's a Nevada lesson, but we could think about, you know, a teacher looking at this and how they might could incorporate utilizing Kentucky for this. So I'm going to click on it and it's going to take me to the website. And so this is Achieve the Core. If you haven't seen it, it's got the lesson plan. It's got videos so where teachers can actually watch. And so if there is, like, if you really like this method, the Socratic debate, the Socratic seminar, this would be a great video to share with one of your teachers and say, hey, do you want to maybe try something like this in your class? And set it up because it has all the materials and things for the teachers to be able to go and utilize. So right now, what we're going to do is we're going to go through and watch segments of the video. So I'm going to kind of skip at different portions. We're not going to watch the whole 40-some minute video. We're going to watch maybe about 10 to 15. But what you're going to do is I want you to focus on 3B only. We just read through those specifics. And I want you to think about those particular attributes for that questioning and discussion techniques. And like I said, I'm going to skip through because we don't have time to watch 43 minutes, but we're going to watch to where we kind of get a general idea of the whole lesson. And then I'm going to give you some time to think, kind of look through your data, kind of go to the evaluation rubric and try to think of where you would mark it, all right, on this one. So let me go ahead and hit play and hopefully.
To start off our discussion, the first thing I'm going to ask is if we
Everybody
do change
that.
our ways, what direction would we go to? Like would we, instead of gambling, would we have a skiing resorts? And I think some things that we could do is on document D. I think one thing a direction we could go into is winter, because on line 7, it's number 5 on top spots for winter vacations. On number 9, number 1 ski resort, Squaw Valley. And then on line 23, best ski schools in the U.S. 24, best ski resorts in North America. So there's a lot of options that we can when it comes to winter and the profit that we get.
It also says that go in the direction of summer, because on lines 29 to 30, it states that Lake Tahoe has also picked up several additional noteworthy warm weather awards. So people will have a lot of stuff to do and they can like spend money there. So that's another way we can earn money.
And also on line 31 and 32, we got number 10 for Lakeside, or on Yahoo, we are like number 10 Lakeside Vacations, have it all for those.
It also states it's still on document D, line 62. It said that sometimes you recognize the river walk is good as a 32 Great Spring Trail.
And line 47 also says the 10 best air shows around the world.
And that also brings up another topic I wanted to bring up. Why I don't really know why Nevada focuses so much on gambling, prostitution, drinking, all these sin-centered things when we have so much more here. Like all these things on these lists.
I'd like to add on to what Vanessa said, because the reason we do things that are considered sinning is because it brings in more people and more money.
Now I'm just going to move it to a little farther in the thing because it's a lot of the same kind of discussion.
Says once thought to be recession-proof, Nevada's gambling-dominated economy weathered national recessions over the past 30 years, each time coming back bigger and stronger. What document did it use in?
Okay, so guys, make sure to clarify your evidence after you state it. So explain it to the group why you use that.
I use this because it says gambling dominated the economy and made it Nevada bigger and stronger with money.
I like to kind of disagree with what Bo said, because based on lines 14 through 16, it shows that in casinos, most of the people that would drive all the way over the Sierra to Nevada would instead go to the gambling casinos because they don't have to drive over the Sierra. So if you would just raise the tax, they wouldn't help because you're not giving people because of that.
What document was this in?
On document B.
Also on document C, it states that the Federal Legislature in 1995 was supposed to usher a new golden age of the city, but was bankruptcy in late May.
So explain that why you use that.
So like the casino went up, but at the end it kind of lost more money than it was supposed to make.
I would like to add on to what Nora said, because if sin is supposed to create our economy, you wouldn't think that a new casino would just go bankrupt.
I'd also like to add on to what Nora said, because on line 73 of document B, it says the reality is that the casinos are never going to be as successful as they once were.
Money, so we need to change that. Brianna, do you have anything to add on to this?
In the document B says once a casino has been outspoken, sometimes opposed development of other city attractions.
Can you say that again? I didn't really understand.
She said that hotel casinos did not support and sometimes oppose the development of other city attractions.
So what are you trying to say by that, Brianna?
That the casinos didn't support the things that opposed the other city attractions that they had.
So what you're trying to say is that the casinos wanted all the money?
Yeah.
Taking into consideration the circumstances, if income is our problem, do we change our economic structure, or do we just continue to make these establishments bigger and grander?
I think that you would have to continue to make them bigger and grander, because on document C, as stated on lines 4 and 5, it is easy money with gambling, nicotine, and alcohol. And then on document B, on line 40, it says gambling will not disappear from Reno. So if it will never disappear, we just have to continue to make it better to where we can keep getting money.
I'd like to disagree, because Nevada has many other qualities that could help with this economy. For example, on lines 6 through 28 in document D, it states good examples like winter sports resorts that make it unique, because ski resorts aren't everywhere in the United States. So I think it'd be a good idea for to reverse that.
I would like to add on to what Sophie said, because in document D, line number 8, it stated that Tahoe is the #1 place to go. Because there's other things that we can make profit on other than sin and gambling. So I think we should change our direction on our revenues.
Colin, what were you going to say?
I would like to agree with Carissa, but in a different way, a different form. I think we should make it grander, but also take the tax down lower, because it says on lines, on document C, lines 9 and 10, it charges, Reno charges 55% in tax on, Pennsylvania charges 55, but Las Vegas charges 8. But Las Vegas is more popular, and I think we should go more in Las Vegas direction, because that's how they get their population up, and that's how they get the money for the casinos, basically.
I'm a little confused on lines 54 and 55 in document A when it says the 2001-2002 national recession should have been a big wake-up call for Nevada's leadership to chart a new economic course in the 21st century.
It's kind of trying to say, like, they're not making enough money, so they either need to make a decision if they're going to go bigger or are they going to change their economic.
Connor, do you have anything to say about this?
On document C, line 34, it says how Nevada makes $835 million off of gambling, and if we took gambling away, then our city would have like literally no money whatsoever.
I'd like to disagree because on lines 20,
And that's why some people agree that we should still base our revenue on sin. Then what we can do, any of you think that we should tax outdoor activities such as Lake Tahoe and bowling stadium and such?
Meta, do you have anything to add onto what Vanessa said?
I agree with Vanessa because on document A, it basically states that gambling makes a lot of money for us. And on document D, it also states all the good things that we have besides gambling. So I think we should have both.
Daniel, do you have anything to say to this?
No.
Corbin, do you have anything to add on?
I want to go back to Maddie's statement about how without the gambling, we still have all the events and the achievements. Because if we look past the gambling and tourism, we would still have, like, on document D, 6 through 12, we have all those.
Or the side that I agree with, made me agree, was that it was the one where that gambling will not be as like such of a huge like economy boom as it was before, because it's starting to die down and other stuff is starting to come in Nevada that like brings in more people to come in and see it.
My opinion also changed because I thought Nevada should just strictly base its revenue on sin, but then going further into discussion when a lot of people made it clear that Nevada is not just what people think it is, where it's tobacco, drinking, and gambling. We have a lot more than just that. We have like ski resorts and vacations for winter and both summer. So we have a lot more than just what our revenue is right now, which is gambling.
I would like to agree with Krista because on document C, it says our gambling is only $835 million, but Pennsylvania is $1.32 billion. So I think we should stop gambling and go on to document D and just focus on our activities that we do, and not base our money off of SIG.
Daniel, what side did you pick?
Well, I picked that we should keep gambling because it just gets us money, and ahead and hold on. I can't find the line, but I'll find it and I'll come back.
I'd like to disprove Daniel because I believe that Nevada shouldn't continue to base its revenue on sin because other states are doing the same thing now. So Nevada can't be unique in making its own money. In document A, in line number 48, there's Midwest Riverboat Families and other casinos in other states. So they're basing their revenue on sin. And also in document A, in line number 60, the casino game industry for Nevada isn't profited by tourists, so it isn't really profiting as we need it to.
Although most of our state's revenue is on sin and it's easy money, we should not base it on sin because we could, on document D, there's, oh, I just lost what I was going to say. I'll come back.
All right, guys. We're going to do our reflection on Monday. So save your packets. We'll debrief on Monday. Study guides will be due Tuesday.
Okay, so that was the lesson with Achieve the Core. So I'm going to give you just a few minutes to work on processing this right here. This slide is just kind of giving more details. Actually even has the student reading documents that they were going through to be able to utilize in this discussion. And so kind of giving you time to collect your evidence and be thinking for just a few minutes of, you know, what evidence. Okay. All righty, you go, and we'll catch up when you get back. Okay. All righty. We'll be taking lunch break as soon as we finish this. I probably will break for lunch after this video. And look, because I realize that this is the lunch period for a lot of you also, we'll be taking a break after this video. We'll be having our lunch break. So yeah, you go ahead and take care of that. We'll go ahead and be doing a little assessment of this. So as you're taking a look at the evidence you've collected, now remember, we're only looking at 3B, all right? Only 3B. So what we're going to do is I'm going to launch a poll. I haven't done these very much, so I'm always a little nervous when I try this one, but I always try something different. I like to try things different. But we're going to launch a poll, and I want you to mark what you feel is the rating. How would you rate this? Now, I can tell you up front, and I'll tell you some of my biases after this, that I want you to mark what you think, where you would score this. Once again, this is anonymous. No one's going to know. But when you score this, how would you score this if you were in this teacher's room on 3B only? And we're only looking at 3B. So I'm going to launch the poll. And you should get a little note that says, how would you score it? And so for 3B only, how would you rate this 7th grade social studies lesson using Socratic debate? And so we'll go through and talk through the process of what it is. So I'm letting you finish up. Got a few more of you to get in there and to do that. Got a couple more. All right. I'll let you have just a little bit more time because I know some of you are really contemplating this. Like I said, once again, this is anonymous. So, you don't have to worry about anybody knowing what you marked on this one. Everybody being able to see. Okay, great, Brian. I launched a poll and I was able just to let people score what they would think for 3B for this socialist day. So I'm getting ready to close the poll.
Okay. I answered one when I got back, but took it off and make sure I let you know I was back.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. So I'm going to end the poll and let you all see how we scored this. Okay. So this is going to let you see our results. Can everybody see the results? I bet you cannot. Can you see the results?
I can't.
You can't see them?
No.
Oh, I guess I need to share them. Huh? There you go. Now can you see them?
Yes.
Thank you. All right. So we're a little leaning toward accomplished, as 59% of us marked accomplished. And so 25% put exemplary, 16% put developing. So we're a little spread out. So because of the data, we'll do another video because I think it would be beneficial because we grow each time we do this. And so what we're going to do is let's go through and take a look. And when we come back from lunch, we're going to do another observation, but I have an assignment for you to do with your lunch to kind of go through. I know a lot of you need to go to lunch and do some monitoring. So we're going to try to get through this, but let's take a look. Did anybody, so I'm going to go through, let me go ahead with the PowerPoint. So if we take the actual 3B, do you see what's highlighted? I'm going to stop sharing the poll now. Do you see what is highlighted on this? And can we honestly say, did you hear much from the teacher? Did the teacher, but she really didn't talk a whole lot, did she? It was really more the student
led. Yeah.
It was very student led. And so when we take a look at this, would everybody agree that you could highlight what is highlighted here? And so that's one page. And by the way, this was not Mary Belcher's doing. I got this from somebody else. This is KDE samples. But I will say I agree. I do agree with it. So now let's take a look at the second page, those critical attributes and possible examples. If we highlight on the rubric, where is the bulk of the highlighting going when we take a look at this? And I even wrote, like, students would say, my opinion changed, or they said, I'm confused. And then about a certain document, and they went to it. I agree, but in a different way. And then they referenced theirs. Connor, do you have anything to say? So I wrote down a lot of the things, and there wasn't a whole, I wrote down some of what the teacher said, but she didn't talk a whole lot on this one. So when we take a look at where the highlight is, and we look at both documents, the majority for this lesson, for what we watched, we would have to probably say the preponderance of the evidence would put it at exemplary. So some of us put developing, some of us put accomplished. Why did we score it a little bit lower? I can tell you why I scored it a little bit lower. I really have an issue with all the paper turning. I know that's a sad thing to say, but all that rustling of the paper, but it didn't distract the kids. It distracted me. But the kids were very much engaged with it. So I will tell you right now why I marked it accomplished was I felt that was somewhat of a distractor. And I do feel that may have biased me a little bit with this one. But I do see all the exemplary, that it is an exemplary lesson, because when you look at the evidence, where does the majority of that evidence fall? It's going to be an exemplary with this. And so, just a little bit of a different take on that. So kind of sitting and thinking, does anybody have anything they want to share of, like, kind of when you look at it now, do you see that for this component, it would fit exemplary, or share what it was that may have caused you to mark it a little lower? And you don't have to, I understand.
I marked it accomplished. I think I was looking more at just a teacher being able to create that genuine discussion and time for students to respond, and successfully engaging most of the students, in the discussion. I think that's why I leaned toward the accomplished. And didn't move
felt
on
the same way.
Yeah. And I think that sometimes that's what we might, because we might be looking something more specific from the teacher, and I see that. Now, when we go to the next lesson.
Yeah, open-ended questions, were there and accomplished. I mean, there was so many just keywords that I highlighted in accomplished that I thought that's why I chose accomplished.
Yeah, me too. I'm right there with you on that one. And it's okay to put accomplished, because that's adjacent, isn't it? It's right next to exemplary. So that means you're right spot on. But now if we are marking down into developing, that is not adjacent anymore. That means we're a little bit more off on the scoring. And we have to be honest. Sometimes are we Santa Clauses or are we the Grinch when it comes to evaluations? And so, some of us have a tendency maybe to be a little bit more generous, and some of us are maybe a little bit more strict with the ratings. And so when you take that rubric and we really break it down like we are today, kind of helps us to be able to see that. So this is where I'm going to talk with you about your assignment for lunch, so that you can kind of be listening in on some things. If you take your phone and maybe if you have an AirPod that you can put in your ear and be listening, or if you're in a group and grab you something to eat. But this way I'm going to document that, you had a working lunch. So what we're going to do, let me see where I'm going to go. I got to find it because it's on down. Okay, lunch, because we're a little bit behind on what I normally would do. There is, and we'll probably do 11:30 to 12:30, and I probably will let you go a little bit early, so don't think I'm going to keep you all the way to 3, because I'm going to give you time more in your districts. And after we do our second observation, I am going to let you go in your districts and have some conversation to discuss, things that you all might want to do and to be thinking about with your observations. But what I've got for you to do, I'm going to drop in the chat the links. Where do I find it? There's the Principal podcast, and why I'm recommending that you listen to at least one of these. And some of you already have, and I will listen to one too. I'm not going to ask you to do anything I'm not going to do myself during lunch. But I want you to listen to one of the podcast. And so when I've got in the link, I'll put the link in the chat, but they have all kinds of topics that you can pick and listen to the one you choose. I want you to pick, just like how we want to give our students choice. I want you to pick something you're interested in looking and learning more about. Sometimes it's coaching, sometimes the Purple Star Award. Maybe you're interested in that. Hope, PLCs, You're Not Alone, because you all do have lonely jobs. And so listening to some of these podcasts, when you're driving to that soccer game or to that golf match that's going on, listening to some things as you're traveling kind of just helps you to realize that, there's other people that are around to support you and to help you on this. And so listening and getting ideas. So picking one from this, if you have time, there's also a TED Talk that I would say to listen to if you are about your advice monster, because we all have them. And then there's also an observation. Taming Your Advice Monster is the 15-minute And then there is a conference that's just a 3-minute listen. And most of the podcasts some of them are longer than others. So just kind of listen to what you can, but be sure you listen to at least one of them for me. So I'm going to copy these and drop these in the chat for you, just so that you have. Choose one. Now, some of you might, if you have trouble with the podcast, just choose one of the other two. The Advice Monster is really cute. I mean, that is a good thing to listen to. It kind of keeps us, in check sometimes, because we all can go there. But that gives you a little bit of something to listen to for lunch. But now make sure you eat. Take care of yourself. That's always important. You need to eat too. And we will break. So it's right now 11:30. Well, buddy, we are right on time. That never happens. Just so you know, that never happens with me. I'm usually either late or a little early. But 11:30, I'll see you back. Do not leave the meeting. Just mute your computer and turn off your camera and go enjoy some lunch, relax, and listen to a podcast or the TED Talk or the conference, and enjoy your lunch. And thank you all so much. But have a good little break here. And for those of you that are going to lunchroom duty, have bless your hearts. I know that's part of the job. But enjoy lunch. Be back in an hour.
Okay.
Welcome back. I know it's 12:30. I'm going to give you just a couple minutes to drop in the chat. To let you drop in the chat, what was your best takeaway from your lunch assignment? So I dropped, Lisa dropped in, hope is not a wish. Hope is an expectation of positive things to come. It's an optimistic state of mind. Think of what actually can make that hope a reality. I love that. I listened to episode 3, The Gift of Time, because I'm always thinking about, okay, time. There's never enough of it. So I like the example of when I asked for volunteers, that they would always ask for volunteers and nobody would ever offer to volunteer, but they saw a change when they listed the specific thing they wanted, because a lot of times parents may be a little intimidated about coming in and working with kids, but if it's like a task of copying papers, if you list that, then you might have more parents come in and volunteer, and that helps free up time for your teachers. And then also the principals having their own planning time, like principals actually trying to put in their schedule a time when they would have their own planning time. I thought that was neat, because you all don't have that in place. Oh, I like that. Be an active listener. Oh, you listen to the Advice Monster. I love it. That's great. Training your to get home with me. It is. I love that one. I have a building full of non-tenure teachers. So listening to their concern needs to be most important. Make sure advice is not random, but very specific. That's awesome. Family Engagement Week. Effective feedback is important. Don't let your advice be your default. Very good. I like that. Feedback is important and should be actionable. That's a good one. Like that one. Coming out. That's being a better active listener. That's a good one. Love that one. Advice might make advice specific. Very good. The modeling of feedback from the link in the feedback to the lesson plan for the next day teaching. That was nice. I like that. I've watched that one too. I've hoped I've been. I love that, Angela. That's awesome. Yeah, I thought that too when I watched that one. I was like, oh dear, I've got an advice monster inside me too. The importance of active listening. That is a good one. Your wife would appreciate the active. That's a good one. How to tell your, I'd like when he said stay curious a little bit longer. Yes. Instead of letting that advice monster come out, and it does shut people down, doesn't it? When they do that. Love the TED Talks and Advice Monster. Yes, tame that advice monster. I agree, and I think we all are guilty at it at some time. We can. It happens, but I love that TED Talk. I think that's a wonderful one. And it takes time to be that active listener, and it takes that engagement. So I love that you all listen to some great things. But the Advice Monsters is one of my favorites. It really is. I love it. Awesome. Well, welcome back. So now we can count that hour on lunch where you took time to listen to a little something, and you dropped it in the chat for us and sharing out. If you didn't listen to the Advice Monster, that is a good one to get to listen to. It does you can't help but kind of chuckle, listen a little bit to yourself. So, just try to. Yes, I agree, Mr. Spence. Yes, I agree with you wholeheartedly on that. That's great. But that is a really good one to go through. And sometimes, I don't know about you all, but my own professional development, I always do my own challenge of what do I want to, and sometimes it's going back and reading something that I've already read. Like as a teacher, I would go back and reread a chapter in the First Days of School with Harry Wong, and it always impacted me differently. I always had a different interpretation of it each time because I was changed by each school year. And we are changed each school year with our experiences. And so sometimes when we go back and go to some of these things that we have listened for, we kind of hear them a little differently from our life experiences that we had. That's a good one. That's awesome, Michelle. That's great. Awesome. Well, it sounds like you all had a very good response to the Advice Monster, because that is a good one. And sometimes it's good to share with our teachers too, because we all can get in that kind of tendency, and it just is a nicer culture if we are better active listeners and just are wait just a little bit longer to listen. But those are awesome. Thank you all so much for sharing. Those were phenomenal. Now, the next thing, we are going to do another observation, but trying to think. I'm in a little different stopping point. I'm going to try it this way, and if you don't think it was a good way to come back, then you can give me that advice on the feedback survey at the end of how to do better. Always when we take a break, when we come back, I always like to go back and review success criteria and say, okay, so we've connected how a highly effective teacher impacts student learning. Well, you already knew that. You're all administrators. You know how important that effective teacher is, but we kind of talked a little bit more about our why for today. And if we think about our evaluations of being more purposeful to help those teachers to be more effective, we've kind of hopefully grounded ourselves a little bit differently with that. We've reviewed regulation, kind of got back on track with our timeline, summative. You watched the one I did, Susan. That was the one I liked. I liked that one, The Gift of Time. But we talked about and reviewed our regulation and talked about those timelines. We are in the process of calibrating, and we're going to do one more observation because I think it would be, that'll be a good experience. And so we'll go back and watch that and watch a second classroom observation. Then we'll review the P-cell example updates, and you're going to have some access to some resources. That's really going to go pretty quickly. And being aware of those evidence-based instructional practices that KDE has released, because those can be very helpful to you as an administrator to share with some of your teachers of some of those really good evidence-based instructional practices that are good to incorporate, especially if you have a teacher who's struggling. So we're going to take a look at that. I am going to go ahead and do this next video with you all because I think it's just a wonderful, and it kind of gets us back motivated and kind of thinking about chains and links. I don't know if you all have watched this one or not, but this once again is from a website I'll share, and the link is in the video. So if you like it a lot, this will be something you might want to share. Can you hear it?
It was the summer of 2017. Roberta Ursay and her family decided to take a vacation. They were going to the southern tip of Florida, Panama Beach to be exact, where for a few days they were going to rest, relax, and enjoy the sun. Now, a few hours into this vacation, Roberta's two boys, 8.5 and 11 years old, decide to go out for a quick swim in the ocean, but then they didn't return. And Roberta started to get worried. She started walking up and down the beach trying to spot them amongst the crowd, and she said, "That's when I heard them screaming from the ocean, 'Help, help, we're stuck, we're stuck.'" Her boys were drowning, and like any mother would do, Roberta dives into the ocean to try to save them. The boys' two uncles, they see what's going on. They dive out there. A few strangers get involved, and unfortunately, as it happens so often in situations like this, 2 drowning kiddos turned into several drowning people in a matter of seconds. Now, a little ways down the beach was a woman by the name of Jessica Simmons. Jessica and her husband were out for an evening stroll, enjoying an ice cream on a seemingly random night, when down by the water they saw people that were gathering, pointing out to the ocean, and at first she thought it was a shark, but when her and her husband ran down to the water, they realized that people were drowning. And without hesitating, Jessica starts facilitating this human chain, desperately convincing everyone around her to start linking arms, and one by one, person by person, they created 80 different unique links that got all the way out to every single one of those people who were drowning, and everyone was brought back to the shore alive. Amazing. Here's the deal. If you were to look out at any given high school at any given time, you would see hundreds of kids who are drowning. Drowning in their stress, drowning in their anxiety, drowning in the intense amount of pressure they put on themselves to be perfect. Even the kiddos who on paper have it all together are drowning. And unfortunately, the problem's getting worse. So what's the solution? I believe it starts by creating chains. Chains of human connection, so that when, not if, but when students get caught up in the undertow and the messiness that is high school, that we have people that are out there to bring them back to the shore. So what does that take? Number one, it calls for a chain maker, a Jessica Simmons, someone who is not only going to see that there's a problem, but who's going to actively start doing something about it. Maybe you're the chain maker. Maybe you're that teacher who has that charismatic personality that every student connects with. Or maybe you're the student who wants to start that club that advocates for more respect. Or maybe there's somebody who is currently drowning in your life right in front of you, and whether you have it all figured out or not, you know it's time to step up and get involved. I don't know. Maybe that's not you, because here's the deal. It's not for everybody. Not everybody is made to be a chain maker, but maybe you're a link. Maybe you're the bus driver who greets his or her students every morning with a smile and hello. Link. Maybe you're the teacher who stands outside his or her classroom and high fives every kid, even the ones that never get noticed. Link. Maybe you're the student who sees the kids that aren't being noticed and says to them, "Hey, sit with us at lunch today." Link. Think about it. It took 80 different links, 80 different people to get out there to save those drowning humans. The truth is, there are tens of thousands of kids who are currently drowning in this moment, and there's nobody stepping up for them. And the consequence to this is that these kids, they start to lose hope. They become overwhelmed with loneliness, and they feel that the only way to release the pain is to hurt themselves, or in so many cases, hurt others. Here's what I'm saying. Every kid needs a chain made up of multiple links from multiple people, from multiple facets of their lives, from family members to teachers to administrators to youth pastors to, as Roberta Ursay would say herself firsthand, sometimes complete strangers. So just remember, whether it's as big as saving somebody from drowning or as little as giving a few extra compliments, those moments of human connection matter. Those acts of kindness make a difference. Those selfless moments of compassion, they serve as a link. If we get enough links, we can create a ton of chains. And if we can create a ton of chains, I'm telling you, we can save a ton of students. Are you a chain or are you a link? Either way, we need you.
Well, it's going to play it again. Sorry about that.
It was the summer of
2000. So just kind of, typing in the chat of what stands out to you with the video of things to kind of take away from that. I do want to comment on Amanda's thing. I'm going to go watch this gut punch to growth tool with the Eric Thornsberry. That sounds pretty cool about the impact survey. And Bobby mentioned something about the family and school partnership guide. I think that's pretty neat. Powerful. I love that. Awesome. Everyone plays a role. I agree. He even mentioned the bus driver. He talked about students, that we all, and I strongly feel a lot of you in this training, you are those chain makers. Sometimes even as administrators, though, we are the link, because sometimes that teacher fills in and does that. We all have something to give. I agree. That's beautiful. It can start with one, but it takes us all. Don't underestimate the power of making a connection with the student, even something simple. Perfect. Every single thing we do matters to everyone forever. That is true. And Todd Whitaker said in a training, what's so hard about what we do is what we do matters every single day too. I love that. Connections to our students. Yes. And so just a beautiful video about talking about the importance of having those people in place. And like I said, the links are on the PowerPoint, and those will be, and it doesn't matter, the cooks, the custodians, the bus drivers, the students, the teachers, administrators, we all play a part. Beautiful. Love that. You all are awesome putting all this stuff in the chat. You all are with it. But the reason I like to show that is for you all to be those chain makers, or those links of, making sure we have our why and our purpose, and, that everybody does matter. And you all play such a huge role in the school, and the supports that you all need, because it's such a heavy lift for you all. And like Angela says, regardless of your role, everyone is important in helping our students. And so just kind of like to have that to kind of bring us back to, it's about helping each other. And sometimes our teachers do need help. And, trying to be that supportive person, and evaluation isn't a fun thing. I know always it is when you get to go see that awesome lesson, but sometimes it's harder to give that support to those teachers who need it a little more, and just making sure you have things you need as well. But awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you all so much. That is great information. So I'm going to skip back. What I'm going to do, it's going to look weird what I'm going to do right now, because I'm going to go back to another classroom video for us to watch. And we're going to do another observation. And again, I'm going to kind of skip through. And we're not going to watch the whole video. We're going to watch segments of it to where we eventually can get through the whole thing. But I want you to, once again, we're going to focus on our evidence, and we're going to focus on 3B. We're going to stay on the same one because we're calibrating. We're working to try to get, hone in on those skills of, where is it exactly? And you all did great last time, because the majority of you were adjacent with what the rating was. A couple of us were a little bit more off, and a few of us were spot on with it, but just kind of going through and doing another evaluation. So we're going to watch another video. Let's pull the slideshow up here. And this time we're going to watch, and we're going to take notes. And this time it is a 5th grade reading and writing classroom that we're going to watch. And so as we go through, you can take your notes. And like I said, I'm going to just kind of skip around a little bit. We're not going to watch as much of this one as we did the other one. So just to kind of expedite some time here. So let's see if I can get this to play for us. Once again, achieve the core, and making sure that you are aware of those.
Good morning, students. As you know, for the last 2 days, we've been reading a story called A Game of Catch. On the first day, we read it, and we shared questions we had about the story. Then we tried to answer some of those questions by looking closely at the text. The next day, yesterday, we read the text and we took notes and marked the text in places where
everybody hear it.
We decided whether the characters were comfortable and uncomfortable by being included or excluded. We marked it with an I or an X.
Thank you, Lisa.
Now today we're going to go a little bit deeper and discuss one of the questions that you guys created on Monday. Any questions right now? So our focus question for the day is, according to the text, why did Sko fall from the tree? When you get your paper, you're going to write your answer before the discussion using our ACE protocol, which is on the chart if you need it. I love how Madav started right away. You need a pencil? Okay, guys, it seems like everyone's just about finished up. Before we start, let's just flip the paper over to the back. And let's just read down the left column, different things that we're going to be trying to contribute to our discussion. The first one, almost all of us contribute as a goal. We come up with many different ideas about the story as a goal. We try to back up our ideas and details from the story as a goal. We listen and comment on one another's ideas, and when asked, we try to explain our ideas and make them clear to others. We're interested and we learn a lot. So remember, at the end, we're going to be evaluating ourselves based on those. So, you can put your pencil down and we'll put our paper to the side. I'm going to repeat the focus question again. According to the text, why did Sko fall from the tree?
The reason why I think Sko fell from the tree is because...
Do it from the book.
The reason why I think Sko fell from the tree is because in the text it says he found, page 41, it says he found a place where several supple branches were united to make a dangerous chair. That makes me think that it was his fault that he fell.
I disagree with Messiah because he really fell because he kept bothering the other two kids. I forgot their names, Monk and the other one. But he kept bothering them until Monk got mad and he.
I'm going to skip a little bit more.
I want to remind everyone to check on the wait time. Make sure no one else is trying to speak when you're going to speak. Madav, go ahead.
I think that Sko fell from the tree because Monk actually did I agree with Lonnie because I do think that Monk actually touched the tree and made him fall. Because on page 44 it says, "I'm sorry, Sko," Monk said. "I didn't mean to make you fall." So that means that Monk knows that he did make Sko fall. That's why he said sorry.
I disagree with you, Madav, because it didn't say that he made him. It said that he reached. When you reach, just do this. Did he pull the branches?
I'm not yelling. We're waiting.
And Jakira, and I disagree with you, Patrice, you, Alani, and you, Madav, because on page 44, it did actually say, in part as he reached up to threaten to shake the clearing. he didn't just reach up and shake the cradle. It never said he shook the cradle. And I think that Monk was apologizing to Skull because maybe he was apologizing because he threatened him. And I think Skull fell on purpose, like because he wanted them to think that he made them do it. And it never said that Monk shook the tree. It only said that he reached up for the tree.
Why do you think that he fell on purpose?
I think he fell on purpose because he wanted them to, because once Monk said that he was going to threaten to shake the cradle, of slight branches, I think Skull wanted to teach them that he really was ruling over him, saying I made you do that.
Okay, Shania,
I disagree with you, Patrice, and agree with that because it didn't say in the text that he really did pull the branches down so that he can fall. He just threatened to say when you threaten somebody, it means you don't really really mean it, but you are about to do it, but some people really don't do it.
Okay, Richard, what do you think? Janaea, go ahead.
I agree with Shania and Nia because on page 44 it says, then Soko rolled away from them and sat partly up, still struggling to get his wind, but forcing a species of smile onto his face.
Okay, so what does that make you think?
It made me think that he did it on purpose or something like that.
That he purposely, I want to ask her, and so that he purposely did what? What do you mean?
That I think he wanted to blame Monk because since Monk and the other person was playing catch and then he had to wait a long time, so he wanted to get back at him.
Okay, so you're saying that he framed Monk because he was trying to get back at them for not letting him play. Now it says smile fixedly after he fell on the floor, that he's sitting there smiling fixedly. So Janaea, if I'm correct, you're saying that he purposely fell because he wanted to set them up. Go ahead, Jericho. We're at a point where we have this question, right? Why did Skull fall from the tree? And as I'm listening to everyone, some people think that he purposely fell out. Some people think that he accidentally fell out. Some people think that Monk pushed him out. And I really can't decide, right? So as we've discussed, you guys have changed your mind, talked about it. What we're going to do now is you're going to take 5 minutes to write down what you think now. Let me see. Discuss your answer and discuss the rubric for about 3 minutes, and then we're going to wrap up. You can discuss with them three. Jerica, join in with them. Just join with them three. You did. You spoke the one. Yeah, it's hard. There's a lot of people trying to talk. Gentle. Also, your response. Me and Gershon were just discussing, and Gershon decided that there were 3 different answers. I argued with him that there were 4. Okay, so I want just Gershon to end with us by sharing what 3 answers he thinks everybody talked about.
Skull fell out by accident, Skull fell out on purpose, and Monk pushed him out.
Okay. And then did anybody else want to think there was a fourth or a fifth or a different?
I think the fourth one was like, Skull went to bed. He, think he got nervous.
Okay.
I got a question.
Brandon?
No, nervous. He wanted to learn his lesson.
Okay, hold on. Is falling out on accident the same as... No, is falling out because he got nervous the same as falling out on accident?
Yes.
Hold on. Let me hear Madonna.
It's not, because if he's nervous, he heard mom coming up. He's like, I want you to do whatever you do. He's really getting on nervous. So, of course, he's going to get nervous. Oh, maybe I did something wrong. Maybe he's going to...
You gotta love fifth grade. I love them. All right. So now, giving you just a minute, kind of take your evidence that we've collected from this fifth grade class. It's fifth grade reading and writing class. And I want you to just kind of do a little bit of time reflecting on what you've collected, your different notes. And I want you to kind of, and go back to your rubric and decide, where do you feel for 3B that this lesson is at? You know, and kind of keep in mind, and I know you all do this, that you're evaluating the practice, not the teacher, and what's going on in the classroom. And working to get that with our teachers is so important. I'm going to give you just a couple of minutes to kind of be looking at I'm not going to give the full 10 here, because I'm going to give you some time to get in your group to kind of talk through. I want you to kind of do some individual thinking time here. We'll see about the group. We may skip it if we agree more. So as you're kind of going through your data, looking at what the teacher asked, thinking about the evidence of the discussions, evidence of student participation. So we're going to do another poll for us to score where we feel that this lesson would be. So I'm going to go to the poll and I'm going to launch. And so for you all to select for the fifth grade reading, and we're only looking at 3B, we're only focusing on the question and discussion techniques is what we're looking at here. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to launch this poll. You should be able to see it, and I want you to select where you would put this. And once again, it's anonymous. So where would you score this one? I'll give you a little bit more time. Oh boy, you all getting in there quick. Good job. A few more of you needing to put an answer in. Awesome, awesome. Good, good, good. Give you just a couple more seconds to get an answer in there. So like I said, kind of just thinking, looking at my rubric, looking at the evidence. A lot more of us are in agreement on this one. So for 3B, all right, we've got, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to end the poll, and I'm going to share the results so that you can see them. Can you see the results? It looks like that you can. So can you see the results? Yes, please. Thank you. Notice
Yes.
a lot different. Thank you. 77% of us said it's accomplished now. We're all adjacent. No one has marked an ineffective. And so let's take a look. We're going to go back and look at some of the data. Does anybody have anything of like any kind of bias that you would have that would cause you to score it higher or lower? You can unmute, or you can because the last time we did this, the highest percentage was not the correct answer. This time when we've done it, the highest percentage is what KDE, when they shared this out, that they also feel that what the evidence would be more directed to. So we're more on, we've gotten more accurate according to that. So we can. Okay. All righty. So when we take a look, anybody want to unmute or drop in the chat? But you kind of see where it is highlighted. Here it's kind of evenly, but a little bit more. And remember, we talked about this, accomplished is where we want everybody to be. This was actually, I felt it was a phenomenal lesson for fifth graders. Okay. Yes, you think from having the other to compare, it moved you from okay. Because that is an excellent point. When you go do observations, how often do you go to one lesson that may have been one awesome lesson, and then you might go to another lesson and you're observing, can that maybe influence our scoring? Yes, exactly. We sometimes do this when we move from teacher to teacher. Sometimes if you go into this one lesson that, let's just say it's weak, it's not the strongest lesson that we've observed, and then we go to another one, then on another given day, it may not have seemed so great, but after going through one that was not a great lesson, that can impact our ratings too. And so we can get a little bit off our mark, maybe because of what we've just walked away from and what we just saw as in another observation. So kind of keeping that in mind, and that we're really honing in on the rubrics, because if we are not doing that, we sometimes can either be a little bit more of a Grinch, and sometimes we can be a little bit more of a Santa Claus. So we have to be mindful, because I know that was a bias of mine. There was another one too for me with this lesson. I don't know if you all have this, but I was struggling with determining who got to talk. And I did finally figure it out. And so once I realized how that was happening, and if I was in the classroom, it would have been easier to have noticed, but he was denoting and pointing to the kids as they were to talk. And so I was kind of confused right at first, and that I wasn't sure of the procedure, of how that was happening. But once I figured it out, I was doing better. So that was a little thing I struggled with. Here, when we look at this, we noticed that a lot of it was definitely teacher led, right? Yes, I agree. I like the framework. I do love it. It's a whole lot better than what we had before. That rubric helps us to define. Now, students did extend the discussion and they did enrich it, but we did see more of the teacher leading the talk. But it was a wonderful lesson, and very much what we want to see our teachers doing, and how great that would be to share maybe with one of your reading writing teachers and say, hey, here's something that you might want to try as an engagement piece with your teachers, especially if they're struggling some. So that's why I like the Achieve the Core. They do have several different lessons. So when we look at the preponderance of the evidence, we would say it would fall on the accomplished. And if we go back and look at our results, now the majority of us have accomplished. Our first example, the majority of us had accomplished and not exemplary, which was where the preponderance of the evidence was on the previous one. So we have grown, getting a little bit more calibrated. And that's something that you all as a district, and I do want to, do you think we need time for you all to get in your district, or should we just move on? If you want to drop in the chat, do you want some district time to discuss this? I know a couple of you are by yourselves. That kind of makes it hard for you to answer that. But move on. Okay. I'm kind of with you on that one. I think, but kind of looking at this when you all meet as district or school teams, kind of run a check with each other and calibrate and make sure, are we staying on target? Because no joke, we can sometimes be swayed because, okay, we just watched an exemplary lesson. And if we move to another lesson that's not as great, sometimes we might with score in developing and maybe not accomplish when really it might be an accomplished lesson. So kind of keeping that focus and keeping us grounded on that. I might have to go out of this. So keeping that in mind. So now we're going to get back to this slide. We're still doing good on time. The next thing that we're going to take a look at is we're going to look at principles. Agree. We got to make sure we're calibrating. You have your own evaluation with the P-cell, and that's a big old document. Let me just say that we have to keep that in mind, that we have our own evaluation system, and KDE released some things back in the spring, and I want to make sure that you are aware of those. And I'm going to give you just a little bit of time. I'm going to demonstrate the resource, and I'm going to give you some time to explore this resource. So that you can get an idea of what all is involved with this. So when I take a look, I'm going to go grab it. I'm just going to pull up let's do it this way. I'm going to pull up the P3 website, and I'm going to show you where I want you to go. And I'll re-show you where it's at. But when we go to the P3 website, and I'll drop it in the chat, the professional standards for educational leaders. Now, a lot of districts, they are using this for all their administrators, so that's great. Some still may fluctuate and use some of the ISLIC standards still for some of the other admins, but that's according to your CEP. So you got to make sure you follow that. So when I first look at this, you do have a video, but what I'm talking about is on down here, updated possible examples. And why I want to make sure you're aware of this, so that if you are being evaluated and you want to see an example of something, that you know where to find these. And a lot of you probably already do. That's why we're not going to spend a lot of time here, but I just want to make sure you know this resource is here. So we're going to look at this at a glance. So I'm going to enlarge it. Make sure I'm at the right thing. Yes. So I'm going to enlarge this. Now I'm going to make that if I can, I'm going to make it smaller so I can see more on the page. So it's on my screen, because it's kind of hard to navigate if I don't. So you can see standard 1 has examples. I can click there, and there's some examples for me for standard 1, which is mission, vision, and core values. But I want to take a look at some of these examples that was released back in the spring. And so that is 3, 5, and 8 that have been released. So if I click on 3, notice what it has is some hyperlinks. So when I look at standard 3, keeping in mind this is equity and cultural responsiveness. When I click on the little tab here at the bottom that says examples by element, I have some hyperlinks that I can go check out for that particular standard under accomplished. That has been shared out as examples. Not saying you have to do those, but it gives you ideas of how to get there. Okay. So what I'm going to give you about 5 minutes to do is I want you to kind of just go through, and you're going to pick a standard. Now, I think I will put you in your breakout rooms so that you all might could break up and look at these as a team. Let's try that to see how you do. And so I'm going to give you 7 minutes, a couple more minutes so that you get organized, and then you can have 5 minutes to explore your standard that you determined to look at in some of the links. And then you all can kind of share what you're finding. But I want you to take a little bit of time, and I do recommend that you kind of change your view on your screen because it's a little hard to go back and forth if you don't change it to where it's right in your screen, because there was one time it was zoomed in really close and it was really hard to navigate. If I had done this in person, I usually make a copy of this for you to have your own hard copy to see. But you'll notice all these hyperlinks in here. That's what I want you to go and explore and look at all of those that provide you with data and provide you with examples to maybe be able to build from and to learn from. So I just want you to take a little time to explore. If you're by yourself, you just pick whichever standards you want to look at. That's what you can do. And I want you to kind of, when you come back and in your group, you all can kind of talk. But when we come back, kind of share out, you know, a good takeaway from it, something that's a positive. So, because I always like to focus on the positives. So let me put in the chat the link, and let's make sure you can get there first. That's the first thing I want to make sure you can do. So in the chat, and the P-cell possible examples for standards 3, 5, and 8. So when I put you in your groups, and there's some of you that have more than 3 people, 2 of you are going to maybe look at standard 3, 2 of you will look at standard 5, and another one will look at standard 8. So that you all can kind of go through and just kind of scan these and take a look, so that you kind of divide and conquer. I may actually even give you 10 minutes for that because of just giving you time to peruse some of those resources. Now, let me tell you, this is a rabbit hole you're getting ready to go down. So just be aware of time. I will give you a 1-minute warning, but when you get in your room, if your superintendent is with you, they can take the lead. If they're not there, if you have a district person or the person with the most years, they can kind of then share out. But you all kind of delve up between standards 3, 5, and 8. Who's going to look at what? Take about 5 minutes, and I'll put in the chat after 7 minutes group discussion on what you're seeing. And then you all can come out and share in the chat or unmute things that you saw that you liked with it. So let's see. I put in the chat. Remember, when you click on that, you're going to scroll down to the bottom, not to the all the way to the bottom, but this right here is not what you're looking for. You're looking for this updated possible examples. And this is where you want to click. You click that little arrow to where it gets the full screen, and you can go through. So you're going to look at standard 3, which is equity and cultural responsiveness. Standard 5, which is your community of care and support for students. And then when you go to standard 8, meaningful engagement of families and communities. So those are the 3. So you all kind of talk about it. And hey, I'm okay if you as a whole group say, hey, let's all go look at 8. That is your determination as a district. You all take time to go and look at what you want to on that. So let me get the breakout rooms going here. And I'm going to give you 10 minutes. I'll give you at 7 minutes. When 7 minutes have passed, is for you to start discussion. Like I said, this is a little flexible, but if you haven't started talking about that time, you do want to kind of talk about what you're finding, some resources. Remember, don't forget to star things if you really like them and want to get back to them. So I'm going to go ahead and open the breakout rooms and take a look at your P-cell standard guidance document. There you go. Everything okay, Jody?
Yeah, I got knocked out, Mary. I don't know what happened. Back in.
Oh, all right. Let me see if I can get you back in.
My network had timed me out, which was strange. Maybe where I had been so long.
Okay. So let me see. Like, can you go down to go to your screen and come to the breakout room and see if it'll let you go back in? Will it let you join? Does it
Okay.
give you that option?
It will.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, good.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Welcome back. If you don't care, you can either unmute or you can drop in the chat. Was there anything that you found that you thought was, positives from some of the documents that you were looking at there? Whatever you feel comfortable with.
We looked at Standard 8, Menifee did, and goodness, that is such a wealth of resources. I mean, the family guides, the literacy guides, the how to talk to parents about assessment and all the different types of assessment and all of that. Just a really good resource page. I felt like, especially if you're a new principal or you're a new teacher even. I mean, and you're going to have to sit down with parents who are, going to have questions. It just gives you just a jumping off place and just something that's just very clear and concise. But you're right, it's a rabbit hole.
Oh, it is, isn't it? You get lost. I tell you, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
But it's such a good one. Ms. Shepherd, thank you. That Standard 8 is in alignment with the family-friendly schools criteria. Yes. And so just a wonderful thing. So if you're looking at applying for those family-friendly schools, what a great resource for you to also have there. But just something to know that it's there. Great. So you've got 4 that have that. Awesome. So, Bell County, you looked at Standard 8 as well because parent involvement has never bounced back to what it was for pre-pandemic. Oh my goodness, that is such an excellent point. And so that's a good source of information. Now make sure that you star some of these and that you remember to go back and find some of this stuff because sometimes, I know you all are so busy, it's hard to get back to places. So making sure you're starting those. Yes, the two-way communication is a big one here. I totally agree on that one. So that is wonderful. So just kind of realizing that you have a resource. Now, KDE is going to be releasing some additional samples, examples for the other standards. So just so that you know, I see what you're saying, but it's got to be two-way. Got to have both directions. I understand that. That's a good point. But just kind of keep in mind, there's going to be more coming out, so additional standards. So that'll definitely be, we'll put that on the Padlet so that, when that's released and making sure that that's shared out. But those examples are just a helpful tool. And that's a lot of what this next part's going to be about, because we're going to be talking about tools, resources, because you are one person in your school, in your district, and having help and having some support is always a good thing. And so just kind of want to make sure that we kind of are tying all of this together. But what we just looked at was PISA, which is your evaluation piece, which gives you a really nice something to be able to go look at. So what if your evaluation is saying you're needing help with Standard 8? You have a resource to be able to go and maybe help you with some of those examples. So just kind of keeping that in mind. Now we're going to look at some additional resources that you can utilize to help yourself and then to help your teachers as well. So our next one is we're going to talk about KVEC. And so we are trying our best to provide you all with as much support as possible. So kind of just keep that in mind that, as you're looking at some of these things, making you aware of what trainings. I know I email you all. I try to keep it to about an email a week, but sometimes there's just things coming up and I just want to make sure. So I try my best not to overwhelm you. If you have suggestions, I appreciate it. I did make the Padlet to try to help with some of that. And then also we have our KVEC PL calendar, but sometimes when we need to, We just need to, I need to send a reminder because sometimes I think you are so inundated with emails. So I try my best not to email you all too much, but I do know I'm probably sending on average maybe 1 or 2 a week, and I'm sorry about that. But just trying to keep you in the know. I know that Bronna Francis is going to send you a survey here in today or tomorrow related to new teachers, kind of wanting some feedback to provide because of the new teacher grant. Trying to make sure we're providing things for you all on that. So be on the lookout for that survey. But one thing I want to make sure that you are aware of, so if you're, and if you ever have a question, don't hesitate. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. The reminders don't bother some of you. I appreciate it. I just know reminders do not bother me because I know sometimes I just forget. Oh, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Ms. Shepherd. That helps me so much. The Padlet, I know, and if you aren't familiar with what I'm talking about, I'm going to share that here, but the PL calendar, I'm going to drop in there right now. We have a training Thursday, tomorrow. It's tomorrow. With Megan Martin. If you don't know Megan Martin, she is a great presenter and she really does a great job when it comes. Awesome. Oh, yay. Thank you for using the Padlet. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Jody. But just to be aware, it's on evidence-based strategies with behavioral and behavioral health for tier 2, tier 3 that she's going to be talking about. And so it's a series of 5 sessions and they're specific. But when you register for one, that puts you on the calendar for all of them. You don't have to go to all of them, but it's just some additional information. That was a great training. Megan did a great training with the restorative practices that we had back in the summer. She is really, really good. So just kind of keep that in mind. Feel free to share those out. Anybody can attend those trainings. And we did schedule that one for 3:30 so that you're just aware that that those are there for you all to be able to attend, because we are trying to do, we've asked some of you all about, is virtual good? And that was part of our survey. And a lot of you have still said the virtual and the hybrid is a good choice, because if you can, you'll come. You'll see on our calendar, here we are today. Why we're here is this 30th. So that was on the PL calendar. There's the training series with Megan Martin. And when you click on it, that's where you can get the registration link and a little bit of information about it. We are going to move this K-5 management and routines in mathematics. We did have a conflict with something with the state later on, and then we didn't have a lot sign up. So we're going to be moving that to January because this is right at the first of school and we know it's kind of hard to get away from. But this lets you see like where a lot kind of gives you the idea. You'll notice that right here we have September 20th. We have laid the foundation. A lot of you have questions about Portrait of a Learner. This might be the training for you. It's laying the foundation. It's an introduction to it. You can attend it virtually if you want to. And a big shout out to Perry County because they are co-host. They're being the host site for us because we couldn't do it right here at KVEX. So they're going to host. I do not have it on there, but on September 19th, I'm going to be adding that. A lot of you are still hiring new teachers as we speak. And we had a new teacher summer institute back in July. Well, a lot of you didn't have some teachers hired. We are going to do a repeat. It's going to have not as many options. It's going to have like classroom management. It's going to have explicit instruction and lesson planning, behavior strategies, informative and summative assessments. And Pike County has agreed to host that. So for those of you that are a little closer to Pike County, I agree completely. It does help with the hybrid. I do. Wonderful, wonderful. Appreciate the feedback in the chat. Thank you all so much. But just want to make sure that you realize that the new Teacher Institute on the September 19th, I'll be adding that and sending that out. It is a repeat. So if your teachers went in January, in July, they don't need to come to this one. It's just a repeat of what has happened. This is more for those teachers who didn't get to come in July. So just FYI on that one. And then, of course, our Instructional Administrators Network for principals. But I did want to also share the Padlet. I did put, let's give you the list of the network meetings and the Padlet at the same time here so that you have both of those. The sub thing is that's just a real problem, and we have to be mindful of what you all are dealing with. So the network meetings just gives you a calendar listing of all our dates, our new teacher networks. There's one for special ed teachers and there's one for general ed. I have sent out the topics of what those are, but now here's the Padlet that you hear. And if you've not seen it, this is just a little something, and I do update it weekly, sometimes almost daily. But here is something that is actually due today. KDE has asked schools to provide ineffective teacher data. Funny that we're in a evaluation update training and we're talking about this, but this is data that needs to be turned in. They're asking for that by today of the number of teachers that have that ineffective rating. So making sure that the letters applications are open till tomorrow, principals. And principals, I have you on here first because I know you have it's not the hardest job in district. It's one of, if it's not, I know superintendent, everybody's got hard jobs, but I just feel like principals have a lot on their plate. Pritchard Committee application for full service community schools is open till September the 8th. Just kind of some different things to be aware of. That initial certified training, I can't do that if you've never evaluated before. You got to go through KDE with that one. This came out yesterday. The advanced placement coordinators put that in there, but just try to drop different things in there. If you're not aware of, let's see. Yeah, there's lots of stuff. This calendar, the principal calendar, is a great resource for you to kind of keep up to date with. I'll be changing that to September Friday so that one's updated, but you can click on that and get to it as well. But you'll notice I have added, there's different roles in the district. So we have all these different roles, and I stopped with superintendent, but then I got some requests to add some additional ones. And so that's what these have been added on as we keep going. So just kind of making sure that you're aware that this is something, this is free. This is not, there's no extra charge being that one of our member districts. I happily do this. And if you all are finding it beneficial, I will keep doing it.
There isn't any paperwork. As long as he's met all his requirements, he can graduate. There's nothing that needs to be turned in at the State Department.
Hmm. All righty. So thank you so much. I appreciate it. So, and if you have suggestions to make it better, I am always ears and wanting to listen and trying to make things better for you all. That's our main goal here, is just trying to help you all in whatever way we can. So there's your Padlet, just making sure you're aware of it. Gave you the network meetings. Now this is coming up next week, and just want to make sure that you are aware of this. So just wanting to, let me go and find it and make sure that you get that link. We have on the 7th, this is virtual, it is online. It's an introductory session, and then there'll be follow-up sessions. I think there's 5 additional ones. And it's going to be Rick Fisher, who was a principal. He works with Dr. Harry Silver, and talking about just things of helping supporting principals, especially with this deeper learning, and helping you all with the goals. And the thing that I like the best about this, and I know some of you've heard me say this, we talked about like the framework, and they actually have tools. So if you have a teacher who's struggling with 3B, they have like some tools that you can pull from to give a teacher to try, to help them work on those skills that they can just take and utilize. So just kind of keeping that in mind. So I want to make sure you're aware that that is on next week. The first meeting is online, no in person on that one, but the follow-up dates will be here's the follow-up date. So September 28th. You can come in person. We have the request. We are looking at it to be, even if you are a hybrid, you can still have that coaching hour. So if you have questions and you want, this just gets time for you to talk with other people who are doing your job. So just making sure that you have some of those supports in place. So let me get that link. If you're interested, please go ahead and register for that. But it kind of gives you just some extra support. Special ed is also going to be doing some additional support specific to special ed. So like co-teaching, laws when it comes to behavior and discipline. I would highly recommend, and those are on that network sheet I just dropped in the chat too. So making sure that you just being aware of some of these things that are available to you. So just want to make sure that you know this is out here. And if there's something that we're not providing you, let us know and we will try our best to help you any way we can. So just let us know on what the needs are. Now, for the next piece, I want you to think of the top 3 items you need help with when evaluating and coaching your teachers. So I want you to just make a mental note. You don't have to type in the chat. This is for you. I want you to think top priority, second, and third that you want help with. Maybe it's with classroom management. Maybe it's with feedback. Maybe, but pick 3 things. And we're going to take a look at some resources. And I'm going to give you some time to look because you don't have time any other time. I know. You're getting pulled 101 directions, and I know you're getting pulled even now as I'm talking with you. People, you're getting texts and you're getting messages and emails. It's all building in there, but I'm wanting to build in some time here for you. Tell you what, I want you to think about that, and I'm going to show you. I'm going to make an adjustment. And so, sorry, on what I'm doing. So I'm going to hold on that 15 minutes. What I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of compact and put some things together because I see it's almost 2:00 and I do want to let you out by 2:30. So I'm doing some mental notation right here. So just wanting to make sure to and be as productive as possible for you too. That's the main thing, and making sure you have things you can utilize. I'm going to show you some resources. So this is what I'm going to change up right now. I'm changing up. I'm going to show you some resources, and I'll put a list of the links in the chat and give you a little bit of time to peruse and look, but then I'm going to let you go in your districts to discuss, and maybe you all kind of as a team decide what to look at, and then from the district, then you will be done. So we're going to do a little housekeeping right now. So follow along with me if you can, because I want to make sure and honor your time. I know we've been going a little bit over an hour, but my goal is to get you in. We're looking at resources and getting you the last 30 minutes to search and look at things, and then be able to let you get finished here. Okay. So we're going to look at the KDE Principal Partnership, but I still want you to think of your 3 things you need help with that we're holding. Hold that thought. What are my 3 things I need help with? So I'm going to show you this. If you haven't looked at the Principal Partnership resource list, this is a rabbit hole. This is another rabbit hole. Let me tell you, there are rabbit holes everywhere you look. Social media, you name it. But this is one of the resources I'm going to let you have time to explore. And alphabetical topic of interest, you can see academic core content. That's always a place you need to be aware of. Now, this is the ridiculously long list of acronyms, which is true for education. We know that. assessment in instruction. Now, some of these links may not work, but you can try another. But it has some articles and some different things you can look at. Collective efficacy, we have seen in the Hattie research of how important efficacy is, that collective teacher efficacy. So looking at that, conferencing and coaching, some different examples related to those, curriculum, instruction, and assessment. Deeper learning, so different things tied to the deeper learning. Equity, family and community engagement. You might want to go back to the P-cell examples, and that's going to be your choice. I want to give you time to look at what you need to. Growth mindset, mathematics instruction. We know math is a challenge. We also know science is a challenge as well. And I will say, you know, I do help with science. I know some of you have had me come into district and work with some of your science teachers. That is still available. We have Kim here with social studies. We've got Carol Mullins for reading, writing, and myself and Stephanie Kidd help with math as well. So just being aware of some of that in place. Observation, feedback, professional learning communities, making sure that those are established and beneficial. Questioning and classroom discussion, school climate, and culture and climate. And what I mean is you'll click on some of these and then it'll have other places you can click. When you find something you like, click your little star and make sure you're saving it to a folder that you can get back to. Social emotional, teacher distributed leadership, time management. I think I'll need that. And then just some other things down there for you to be able to look at. So there's one resource. So this is one thing you're going to get time to go and look at. All right. So it's this resource list on the P3 network. And if you ever look at resources, it's this one right here to the right. You're welcome to explore different things too, because I do want you to have some time to look for some things that will help you. The other thing I'm going to give you access to that I want you to be able to go and look at are the evidence-based instructional practices. KDE released these in 21-22, but we were still in such a tizzy with everything. Things still hadn't really gotten a little bit back to normal. So these are the 6 that they have selected: establishing the learning environment, clarifying and establishing clear learning goals, explicit teaching and modeling, discussion, question, meaningful feedback. Well, I want you to look at these. And what's so nice about these, if you haven't taken a look, they're by content area. So when I go to meaningful feedback, it doesn't only just do a general meaningful feedback, it has information for math, reading, writing, science, and social studies. So if I have a social studies teacher who's needing help with that, you as their principal, instructional coach, whatever your role may be, can send them to this resource to kind of get some help and support. And it's already there for you. So that's what I want to make sure is that making sure you're aware of all these resources to help you getting to helping those teachers be more effective and helping them in areas where they need some strength. And then I know a lot of you already like pair them up with, like, if you have someone who's struggling with classroom management, you let them go observe someone who is a rock star in classroom management. So those are things. So this is another thing that something to look at. Now, when you get in your district, maybe one of these is your goal. Maybe this is something that you all are focusing on. Be sure you're going and looking at some of those resources. So keep in mind, we're holding these to where we'll let you go and explore these. So I'm going to pull it up here for you so that you can see what I'm talking about, just so that you see I'm going to have a direct link in the chat. And so it's on the KY standards page. It's got an introduction, but look at this. So here's the first one that is just an overview, and it's establishing the learning environment. You've got it for reading, writing, math, social studies, science. It's all there. And so but making sure you're a little familiar with one. So pick one maybe one of these is what your priority was. So keeping that in mind, but take a look at these. I don't want people to know my location. Okay. Now, I'm going to give you time to review all those resources. The P3, I'm going to give you time to look at the EBIP, but I want you to do something for me real quick. Now, this is saying one thing, but remember, I'm changing things up right now. I'm going to ask you to, in the chat, what is your go-to thing that you share with your teachers? Like when you're working with your teachers, what is it that you want, that you have like beside of your desk? I can tell you what I got right here. Nope, that's not it. Where'd it go? My first days of school. Where did it go? I think it's over there. But first days of school, that is my go-to to always talk with about organization and having that classroom management plan. So that's one of mine. And then also I love the Hattie research, Marzano's strategies, thoughtful classroom. Oh my goodness, I love all of their things. Danielson framework. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a link in the chat for you to put in a document. And I'm collecting this and going to share it in the folder. So if you will put those in there. So click on that link and what Daniel said, the 4 agreements. Elaborate, James. I think I know what that is. Ah, doing your best. Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay. Gotcha. Hattie's research on effect size and Kagan structure. Kagan is great. Not taking things personally. That's huge, isn't it? Because we have to remember that a lot of times they're not mad at us. We're usually their safe place. And so, yes. And that is sometimes hard to do when you have a kid saying some very inappropriate stuff to you. But just kind of keeping that level headedness, that is a good one. So I'm going to say, put those in. I'll be pulling those up here in a minute. So here in just a few minutes, I'm going to give you time in your districts to explore resources. I want you to focus on your top 3 priorities, looking at the P3 resource list and looking at the EBIPs. And I'm going to put those in the chat, and I want you to click on each one of them so that those tabs are open in your window, because when you go into your breakout room, you can't get to it in my chat anymore. So just want to make sure that you are aware of that. So I want you to do that. We're going to do a couple of little housekeeping things. And then let you have time to debrief in your districts and talk about, maybe your priorities are what the district priorities are. But I want you to have some time to look at these resources that are. So notice I'm going to leave the breakout rooms open as long as people are in there. As long as you have people in your breakout room, I will leave it open. I may jump in and say, is everybody okay? Do you have any questions? But take all the time you need to be in those breakout rooms. I will close them at 3:00 though. When you are done as a district and debriefing, I want you to take that remaining time to look at your resources. Okay. I want you to look at the P3 resources, and I want you to look at the evidence-based instruction. Now remember, evidence-based, that means if they use them, you're going to see some improvement. And I know some of you are looking at data right now because you've got that quality control coming that you're working on. Looking and being intentional about what you're needing. So, looking at what can be impactful for you. So what is our housekeeping? Real quick. Let's take a look. Have we pretty much talked and done all our success criteria? So looking down there, And I added one more. I hope you found your why today. And also remembering that you're that chain or that link, and how everybody has their place and everyone is important in those students' lives. So knowing our why we're doing these evaluations, and having resources to be able to share with our teachers, to help them to be more effective. Sometimes they just need another tool in their toolbox that they may not be aware of, especially where we have so many of these young teachers. Bless their little hearts. My heart, I just love being around, and they're so sweet. But if we take a look at these, I think we can check everything off and say, okay, we've got several things that we've met our criteria, but the only thing is you still need to review some resources. I do want to thank you for attending today, and I do want to say, if I had you, I'd give you a big old hug, because you all do so much for our students, and so oftentimes you're not appreciated like you should be. But thank you so much for all you do for our students, and you're doing a great job, and appreciate you. If there's anything that we can help you with, if we're not providing things that you're needing, reach out to me and tell me what you're needing. And we will work to try our best to provide you with supports in whatever way we can. You've got my number here at the office. You've got my cell number. And I know giving that to 40-some people might not be the best idea, but, just text who you are and what you're needing, and I'll be happy to try to help you any way I can. I'm going to put the link to the participant folder in the chat for you all, and you might want to star that because it's going to have this PowerPoint in it. I'm going to add that in there, and I'm going to have everything else. Thank you all. I so appreciate you all being here today, and taking your time. And I know it's a requirement. I know basically you have to be here, and that's okay. But find your why of how to make this that we're doing impactful, and to help those teachers, be more effective. And so finding those resources. Now, the next thing I'm going to give you is feedback survey. Now, the feedback survey has a couple more questions. Oh, you're very welcome. Happy to help. I'm going to give you the feedback survey. It will be for 6 hours, because remember, you took an hour for lunch, and you're going to have time to work on looking for resources. You want to make sure you do that, because if you turn me into the I don't know that there's any police on this, but they might not let me do these trainings anymore. You are very welcome. I'm glad. I know I will. If you all will help me, I will try my best to schedule one in July. If anybody has some suggestions of some dates right now, I might go ahead and put it on my calendar so I don't mess up and schedule something there. But I did one at the end of June, and I could maybe do one in July, and then we could maybe do another one. But virtual, I know, is not the best, but it's, sometimes it helps us with our travel and things like that. And KDE has one. So if you still have people that need to have their training, they're going to be here in person for that update training on October 3rd. So if you have anybody that still needs it, that's a date to do. And then also do that. I do have some pre-filled information in the chat on the link. So when you click that link, it should have the name of okay. Really? The day after 4th of July? Okay. I didn't know if that would be, that may not be a bad day, actually. I've got it written down. So if you will fill out the feedback survey for me, you should get an email from kvec.training. If you don't get that, check your junk. If not, talk to your tech people, because that means they're blocking that email, and that it's going someplace. And so just make sure that if you don't get it, contact me, and I will get you a copy of the certificate. Great. Thank you. Thank you. Be sure and let me know a couple of dates that would be good, and I'll try to make sure to hit some of those for next year. And I can go ahead and write it on my calendar right now so that I'll have those in place. So as you finish that, I'm going to give you a couple more minutes to do your feedback survey. So you're not going anyplace yet, because we're going to put you in your breakout room, and I'm going to put the next thing in the chat. Okay. the inspirational videos that I got today, the link and Know Your Why, came from this website. I'm going to drop that in the chat for you because they have a lot of great videos that are, thank you. Just let me know those dates, you all, so that I will do my best to schedule some, because I really hate that school got started and we had to do it but this is the only day I really had to work with. So we will work around that. But this is a website that has inspirational videos for teachers and students. You probably know some others. I'll be happy to take any of those that you know of. Be sure to send me email. The other thing I'm going to put in the chat are the 2 resources. Now, what I need you to do is I need you to click on both of these links because I do want you to explore these. There's the P3 resource list, and then there's the EBIPs, evidence-based instructional practices. Remember, they're evidence-based. Using those, you're going to see some improvement. Okay, so keeping in mind, those are go-tos. They seem pretty simple, but sometimes it's the simple stuff that messes us up. So I'm going to put those in. I want you to click on those 2 links and have those as tabs. And you're going to get in your district and you're going to have like a debriefing as a district. You all, and those of you by yourselves, I'm so sorry. If you want to stay and talk to me, you're more than welcome to talk to me. But at that point, when you go to your breakout room, talk as a district of things of focus, things that this is your wrap up of talking about some of your goals and things you're going to be looking at. And then once you all are done in your district discussion, then start looking at your resources. That district discussion may also provide you with guidance on where to look. But remember, definitely look at evidence-based instructional practices. Those are solid. You're going to see good effect size with those. And then also your resource list has a lot of great topics. But like I said, I'm sending it down some more rabbit holes. Sorry about that. But we're at 2:07. Getting ready to put you in your district breakout rooms. And then from there, when you all are done in your district, you are okay to leave the meeting because you've done my housekeeping. You've done the evaluation for me. You gave me the feedback so I can get better. And that's what I always ask is always make me better. Make things to where it's a better help to you. And then you're going to explore resources. Are we ready to go into our breakout rooms? And I thank you for attending today. Like I said, you don't have to come back to the main room. You can just leave the meeting from your breakout room. If you have any questions, you're welcome to come out and jump out and talk to me. Feedback not opening for you. Okay, let me go try that again. Well, let's try this. Thank you, Angie. I'm guessing nobody else had any luck with it either, did they? Thanks. Did anybody else have trouble with it? Did it work for anyone? When I just clicked on it, it didn't work for me either. Huh. Okay. All right, Angie.
Yeah, it says it's just not accepting submissions is what mine says.
That's when I clicked on it. That's what it said for me too. That is so weird. You and I have the same problem. Okay. On that one, I'm going to send you a direct link. Let's see what this does. All right. Wait, it's not accepting submissions. Why would it not be accepting submissions? That's like the weirdest thing ever. Let me go take a look at it first.
It's almost like it date timed out or the date, or you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I'm like you. I think that.
Mary, I was able to do mine, and then I received an email that something went wrong with the certification attempt. So I don't know if that helps or not.
Okay. Thank you. I think it did. All right. Try it again, everybody. try clicking the link again. All right, that looks like it's going to work. I'm going to drop the link in the chat. I am so sorry. That is so aggravating. I apologize. I love technology, I do, but sometimes it just doesn't work for you. Glitchy things happen. All right, did that work? Is it working, Angie? Did it work that time?
Yes, it's letting me fill it out right now.
Okay, I'm going to watch it because I'm just, to be honest with you, I'm just a little bit nervous now.
Do you have my feedback, Mary? It
Let me go.
do mine, submit it, and everything. So I'm just wondering.
I'll go check and see.
It let me submit everything as well. Were we supposed to immediately receive an email back, or
it should send you an email? Check your junk and see if it's in there. But if it didn't go, maybe I might have to send it to you, Mr. Haney. So just let me know. We'll give it about 30 minutes, and if you don't see it in 30 minutes, let me know, and I will go find them. Okay. Something glitchy's going on. It looks like I'm going down to the.
Yeah, I don't have an email in junk or anything, but it did appear to submit okay.
Yes, mine did as well, but no email.
I'm seeing Mr. Sizemore's went through, Angela Hammond's went through, Angela Allen, Josh Broadwell, Tiffany Combs, Amanda Fields, Jonathan Parsons, Elizabeth Hagerman. That's who's done it at this point. Miss Shepherd, it did not take yours. I'm so sorry. Aaron, I see it came through. Tanya Means, Michelle, yours came through. So sorry. Lincoln, Spence, I see yours has come through now. And it might take just a minute. Angie Davidson, James Allen, it's there. You didn't get an email though, Angela? It didn't come to you?
No, I haven't got one yet.
Okay. Did you check your junk?
I did.
Okay. We'll give it a little bit of time here and just make sure. Susan Dameron, yours has come through. Andrea, yours came through. It's showing it shows it's taking it. So if I'm seeing this, I can get you a certificate, and I can also get you one anyway. I may just drop you a copy of the certificate in the folder too, or email it to you all from where you signed in. Okay. All righty. Okie dokie. James. Okay. I'm not seeing it on the list. No email, but that James I see. Okay. Debbie, yours just came through. Will, yours came through. It looks like it's showing. We'll take a look. I will maybe just email you all a certificate, just so that you've got that too, one of the blank ones. It looks like Travis, yours just came through. Looks like at least I see you, Allison. Okay. It looks like it's coming through now. I don't know what happened there. Melissa, see yours. Or John Day, yours is there. So if you're not getting it, like I said, I may just go ahead and send y'all a copy of the certificate too. That's kind of got me a little worried there. What happened? And it still didn't send it. Okay. I'll send you one, Angela.
Did mine just come through?
Did yours?
Who
said
it?
that? Who is that? Yes, I see your name.
Okay.
Now, it does show, but did your email come through?
No, it did not.
Okay, see if mine came through as well. I redid it.
I see yours, Miss Shepherd. I see it there.
Okay.
Mary, mine, I've done it twice now and I still haven't got an email.
Okay. Don't do it again. Christy?
Okay.
Is that your Christy
Yeah.
Willis? Yes, I see it there. I see that I see you've done it. So do not do it again. Do not do it
Okay.
anymore. Don't do
Well,
it
I've done it
anymore.
twice. I won't do it anymore.
Don't do it anymore, please. You don't need to do it anymore. I'm so sorry, you all. It usually doesn't have that much of a problem. Well, I'll have to investigate.
I sent mine about a minute ago. It went through Brian Charles.
I saw your name, Brian.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
You're in there.
So you'll send us the certificate?
I'll send you, I'm going to, just to be on the safe side, I'm going to email you all a certificate too.
Okay.
So that you all, just in case, because where it's having something glitchy, I'll take care of you. Don't worry.
Did Jason James comes through?
Jason James. I see James Allen. Let's see, Jason. I'm looking. I see James Allen, James Blevins. I do not see Jason. No, it's not showing that it went through. But like I said, don't worry about it. I don't want you all to fill it out again. That's too aggravating. So sorry. But do not fill it out again. I will send you a copy of the certificate. All righty. I'm going to let you get in your breakout room. So sorry for the glitch with the tech. That happens. I know that's the virtual world we have to live in sometimes. But now I'm going to put you in your breakout rooms, and be sure that you have the two things on your tabs, the kystandards.org with the eBIPs and the P3 resource list. But get in your district groups, have a discussion, kind of make some plans, talk around, if you have your superintendent, of course, we want them to lead discussion. If you don't have a district person, somebody, just kind of have discussion about what are some of your goals, needs. You can even talk about your whys, and then pick three, the three priorities you have that you need help with on resources. Get those, and you are done. So that took a little longer than I wanted with the survey. So sorry. That's a little aggravating for me, but I will get that figured out. That's for sure. But you all have a wonderful day, and let me get your breakout rooms, and thank you for being here, and you all have a great school year. Thank you so much.